as much as the stock exchange.
Dressed for his first CFL regular season game, and the former West Virginia star does figure to see some action in this game. There's another team here too, and it happens to be the best in the CFL, Nick Bastaya on the Edmonton Eskimos.
After a slow start to the 1990 season, the Edmonton defense seems to have found their stride. They haven't had a touchdown scored against them in the last 2 games, and this group of individuals is led by the talented defensive line. 3 of them are all Canadians. Stu Hill, the rush end, who has 11 sacks to lead the CFL. Mike Walker, the free agent who came over from Hamilton, and nose tackle Brett the Toaster Williams. Joining this group will be Leroy Blue, the second-year pro from Bishop's University, who at 230 pounds is going to be in tough against the mammoth tackles of the BC Lions.
As we speak, Bob Obilovich is en route to Vancouver. When he gets here, he'll find out how his team did. Here's what he would have said to his team had he been here now.
If I was there right now, and as I told Jim Young, I would tell the players that the number one thing that I'm looking for is I want you to represent this football team and yourself with a lot of pride and go out there and play to the best of your capabilities. All these things that have happened here in recent times, just get it out of your system, forget about it, and let's start fresh and go out there and play the way you're capable of playing, and then we'll go from there.
More from the new Lions coach at halftime as we watch the other new Lions coach, Jim Young, take BC into battle against Edmonton on the Canadian Football Network.
This CFN game is an exclusive presentation of Sport OV, real life beer. And Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL.
It may be hard to believe a football game here tonight, and everybody else expects them to do just that. So anything short of a blowout might be considered positive for the Lions. The trouble is, they could be blown out. Anybody could be against the Edmonton Eskimos, the way the West Division leaders are playing lately. The game is underway without Gizmo Williams returning a kickoff. The Lions do that much right to start the game as Darryl Colbert returns it past the 40-yard line.
I think a big thing tonight, David, is Jim Young wants the Lions to get off to a good start. Now, normally when a coach talks about that, you're thinking offensively. Tonight, defensively, they have to stop Tracy Ham, that explosive offense, keep them close, and going into the 4th quarter, they got a good chance to win the game.
The Eskimos noted for good starts, the Lions for bad ones. The first quarter might well tell a big story tonight. First down, Eskimos from the 43. A quick pass is thrown much too low by Ham as the Eskimos try to put the ball into Gizmo Williams' hands if the Lions wouldn't.
See Tracy Ham there moving around a little bit, looking like he's stretching out his back or something, and he should be warm. And you saw one of the defenders of the Lions, one of their young defensive linemen, get upfield, and that's the way to get to Ham, is get those hands up and put some pressure on him.
To negate any possibilities of sluggishness, the Eskimos go without a huddle, but cannot complete the pass. Marco Sinkar, the intended receiver, and the Lions do their jobs on defense. First time out.
And you're thinking, well, sure, 2 plays, maybe not a big deal, but I think to these BC Lions it is, because, again, that's a good start. They didn't give up anything. Well, there's one of their new people, Billy Bell, who's playing in his first game from Lamar University, and they're going to test him early. You always do with the new guys. You want to see what they can do.
If Billy Bell is healthy enough to come back in on defense, he's a cornerback, finished last season in the NFL with the Houston Oilers, and is in tonight for the Lions for Chris Major, who is on the reserve list. Tim Edgerton to return the punt of Ray McAreedy. Lions come hard. McAreedy's not very high punt is handled by Edgerton, who fumbles it, and the worst start possible for the Lions when they get the ball has just been witnessed.
Great teams are opportunistic, and there's an example right there. The BC Lions are minus 23 in the takeaway giveaway department, and that's the type of stuff you can't give the Edmonton Eskimos excellent field position to start the game. And Edgerton, he's looking for his blocking to develop, and he just forgets to put the handle on the ball.
We'll have a scorecard tonight. Key areas that the Lions must do well in to be in the game, and one of them you see is turnovers. They're already behind in that department. Tracy Ham buying himself the necessary time. He'll stay running and get inside the 25-yard line. These are categories that the Eskimos figure to dominate. So if that happens, they should win the game. Quarterback sacks, they lead the league. Turnovers, best ratio. Penalty yardage, the Lions have had trouble in this. Big plays, usually Edmonton. And in the first quarter, well, the Eskimos have outscored the Lions by 79 points in the opening quarter, by 40 in the second, third, and fourth quarters combined. So good starts have been important for the Eskimos and have been disastrous to BC. Ham very quickly takes off, sees the yardage necessary for the first down and gets it. Tank Landry makes sure he stays there along with Willie Pless.
Now, earlier in this year, I don't think Tracy Ham would have been eager to take off with that ball. He had a tendency to hang in the pocket, looking to throw the ball downfield. Joe Farragelli said, look, why don't you start doing the things that you do best, and that's running with the football if it opens up. You see it right there.
Ham outside, another pass thrown too low, intending it for Keith Wright, and Billy Bell is in there covering on the left corner.
See Jim Young there. And one thing I always liked about Jim Young when he was a player, he was a receiver. He had all the attributes of a good receiver: speed, size, and hands. But the thing he brought with him was he had a linebacker's type of attitude. They didn't call him Dirty 30 for nothing. He was a fierce competitor and tried to play almost within the bounds of the game, what was allowable in the game.
And he'll coach the same way. I think you'll see the Lions let it all hang out tonight. Over the middle, the Eskimos are inside the 5 and are going to be first and goal as Craig Ellis, so dangerous as an inside receiver, makes the catch.
It's no mystery to anyone that the big part of the Edmonton Eskimos passing attack is Tracy Ham to Craig Ellis. They've developed a rapport and a confidence in each other's ability. And a lot of times that type of stuff is really unspoken. They know where each other's supposed to be and they get the job done.
5 yards out. Let's see what Tracy Ham calls on first down. Lofting pass for Wright, and it's too far. Surprised me a little. I thought the Eskimos might try to let Blake Marshall have 1 or 2 or even 3 cracks at it from 5 yards out. They still might.
Yeah, you'd think so, because I know that part of their game plan is that straight ahead rushing attack. Farragelli said that we're going to go at them with the big fullback. We're going to try and get Tracy to run around a little bit, create some confusion. And, of course, we're going to run wide with Reggie Taylor. So they've got a lot of weapons in their arsenal. They all complement each other well.
Mind you, that first down play was against Billy Bell, the new cornerback, trying to let Keith Wright beat him, and indeed he did. The pass was just thrown too far. Second down, goal to go. Try it the other way. And out of bounds. Caught but incomplete. Darryl Colbert came down with it out of bounds, and it's not that he was pushed out. He had no chance to come down in bounds with that catch.
Well, obviously, part of their game early on, the game plan of Tracy Ham and the Edmonton coaching staff is to go after those corners. And you think like with a guy like Billy Bell, who's used to 10-yard end zones, he may not realize that there's a lot more room back there than he thinks. Norman Jefferson just played that well and really used the sideline to his advantage and forced the receiver out.
So the Eskimos figure to take the lead, but with a field goal and not a touchdown. Jordan Gartner holding for Ray McAreedy. A couple of rookies here as a flag goes down. 3 points on the board temporarily at least. Another of our key areas, penalties. Could cost the Lions some points here if the Eskimos decide to gamble on third down, but normally you'd leave the field goal up there and decline this penalty.
Offside.
Well, it seems simple, Nick.
From up here it did.
Obviously not enough to give the Eskimos a first down. The ball was scrimmaged at the 5. So they have the possibility of gambling on third down from half the distance to the goal line. But again, it is normal to keep those points up there and not fool around with a 3-0 lead.
BC number 12, decline.
There it is.
Field goal.
So the scoring has been opened by the Eskimos. Edmonton 3, BC nothing. The Lions will try once again to get their hands on the ball and keep them there. McAreedy kicks off after his short field goal has opened the scoring. This is newcomer Keith Stevens running the full width of the field and now moving up the field, and Stevens goes to the 38-yard line from where the BC offense will operate for the first time.
Well, Doug Flutie is going to start a quarterback for the BC Lions, and it makes you wonder if Joe Paopao, Joe Paopao has been getting it done, but I think that they want to be fair to Doug Flutie. It's a situation right now. I think his confidence a little bit earlier in the year has been rattled, getting pulled and coming into a game, starting the game, getting taken out. But I think right now Jim Young, all he wants to do is starting Doug Flutie, is give him an opportunity to get some plays put together, build some confidence.
Paopau's head still buzzing from the beating the Argos gave him. Thus it was Flutie or Major Harris, the decision for Jim Young, and he chose Doug Flutie, whose throwing hand has given him problems, but not enough to keep him out of the game.
Tell you, the other thing that's been giving him trouble is that extra defensive back that he's normally not used to seeing. That safety in the middle of the field has been creating some problems for him in terms of throwing it down the middle of the field. A lot of times he's not exactly sure of what kind of defense teams are throwing at him, and he's got to get used to the CFL game of that extra DB.
Lions go shotgun, 2nd and 10, and they haven't done this earlier in the season under different head coach, and this pays immediate dividends. Mark Mathis much too late on the slot back Tim Edgerton for a big gain for the Lions.
Not bad strategy here, Dave. The idea, I think, with the shotgun here is that Doug Flutie, up to this point in the season, has been throwing a lot of short passes, dump-offs to his slots and his backs. And what they need to do is get Doug Flutie back 7 yards in the pocket, so he's going to throw those longer passes, spread that defense out. So I think they're forcing Flutie to throw that ball deeper down the field and giving them the best chance to get some big gains.
26 yards is for BC a big gain. Chris Skinner up the middle, and he gets a few more as the Eskimos' normally stingy defense moves in on the former Edmonton fullback. Chris Skinner traded to Ottawa before he came to BC, and that trade to Ottawa brought the Eskimos a draft choice with which they selected a fellow named Sean Millington, who has now just been signed by the Eskimos and is a future member of this Edmonton team. 2nd down, looks like the shotgun down for the Lions tonight. Flutie's got lots of time because of that. Not quite enough time to make the first down. He is close. Maybe should have started a bit earlier. No measurement and no hesitation by the Lions. They're going for it. And I think we can expect this kind of thing tonight from BC. There is no reason for Jim Young or this team in this situation to be conservative at any time.
Well, one interesting thing, David, there ain't no real defense that you can throw against the scramble. And these guys, the Edmonton defensive line leads the league in sacks. So one of the things you're going to have to do is get that quarterback out there and try and create some problems for them.
Flutie had no trouble making the first down at the Edmonton 34-yard line. As Nick mentioned earlier in our broadcast, the Eskimos defense has not allowed a touchdown in the last 2 games, 2 wins over Calgary. One of Flutie's strengths, the scramble. He gets 5, maybe 6 this time.
Well, the thing that impressed me on this play is that Ray Alexander came back when he saw Flutie running down the field and put a tremendous hit on Larry Ruck. And that's the kind of stuff that you really appreciate from your receivers, because normally you think of these guys, all they're interested in is catching the ball. But it makes the other guys feel good that this guy is trying to do everything he can. You see the hit right there. That's great. And you know Larry Ruck, next time he's chasing down the field, he's going to be using that peripheral vision to protect himself.
2nd and 4. Pitch, and Skinner's going to throw it, and Alexander's wide open and will score a touchdown. As we said, expect anything and everything from the Lions, and they showed us A fullback option pass.
Well, the great thing about this is they put one receiver to that side, and then they make the pitch, so they figure they're going to get that defense to come up, get a one-on-one situation. Kind of fooled everybody, and if you win the lottery and you get to be coach for a day, why not do the unthinkable? And that was I think it was a great play. And these guys are having some fun. Why not?
Not quite to perfection. Ray Alexander was juggling the ball. Mark Norman had a chance to hit him, but that didn't happen. You're watching Molson Canadian Football Network. The BC Lions, midway through the opening quarter, have the lead against the Edmonton Eskimos. Again, the kickoff is away from Gizmo Williams. Darryl Colbert has Robin Belanger taking him to the ground, short of the 40-yard line. Well, the new rules allow CFL teams to dress 3 quarterbacks, and the Lions have at least 4 dressed for this game, Chris Skinner being the surprise one.
Certainly is, and Coach Farragelli told his troops when he played a team in this situation, expect the unexpected. They got there not quite in time, and it doesn't have to be a pretty pass. It just has to cover the distance. That's all it did. BC Lions right now got to feel good about themselves.
In fact, Farragelli said he would prefer that Bob Obilovich be here coaching the Lions tonight because he says he knows how he coaches. Who knows how Jim Young coaches in the CFL? Farragelli says we can't prepare for anything because the Lions are liable to do who knows what. Flag down as Reggie Taylor carries. He's back, as is Keith Wright, into this Edmonton offense after missing last week's game. Another offside penalty against the Lions. Tracy Ham quarterbacks with Reggie Taylor and Blake Marshall, the normal starting backfield.
BC number 79.
And this is how the receivers line up when they're all healthy. In fact, the Eskimos are disgustingly healthy according to other teams in the league. Really, the only thing the Eskimos could do to be in better health would be to find a magic cure for Tom Richards' back problems. Otherwise, they're in full health. Marshall and the middle linebacker Tank Landry is where you'd expect him to be when the fullback is carrying the ball.
Well, you do, David, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on guys like Landry and Willie Pless because you've got a young defensive line with the BC Lions. I mean, those 4 guys only got 20 games experience among all of them. So they're going to be someone. We need somebody back there to settle these guys down, and you need someone to show the leadership, and that's what Doug Landry's there for.
It was 1st and 5. It's now 2nd and 2. Interesting that the last time they needed 5 yards, they threw the ball and didn't make it. This time they run the ball, and they don't make it this time either. Well, the Lions are doing it both ways on defense. And the BC team fired up. The Eskimos wondering what's happening.
Well, a big part of the Eskimos' game plan has always been, as everyone well aware, I'm sure, is Blake Marshall up the middle, big, strong fullback. And I think right now is what we talked about at the start of the game, is that the BC Lions figure maybe we've got nothing to lose. The other shoe is dropped. There's a new situation coming in here. We might as well all try and relax and do the best job we can and not worry about our jobs right now.
Edgerton holds on to this punt and turns it upfield and is out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Another good play by the Lions with a little momentum on their side, and they do have the lead. Forget the BC momentum for the time being. A penalty for illegal substitution or too many men on the field involving that young man, Sean Stewart, has kept the ball in Edmonton's possession with a first down in BC territory at the 54-yard line. Lions, too many men on the field when the Eskimos punted it. Ham throws it, and Gizmo goes up and catches it.
Great thing about Gizmo Williams, as everyone knows, is his speed. Now, here's a guy that if every time he starts to run at that defensive back, he's going to make him extremely nervous because of that tremendous speed. So he's got to, what he's learning to do is take advantage of the fact that he can hook up and make the big play. He doesn't have to go for a touchdown every time or for the bomb every time.
Speaking of the bomb, that's what Tracy Ham tried to do with Keith Wright, who complains that he was held up by Billy Bell. We'll see if he has a valid case or not.
Well, it's hard to say. Billy Bell's turning just to run with the defender now. If Keith Wright widens out a little bit more, he's not going to get to where the ball is thrown.
No penalty there. Overthrown and very nearly intercepted. Norman Jefferson watched it drop a couple of feet away from his feet. And Tracy Ham's having some first quarter problems here as the Eskimos send on Ray McAreedy. Ray McAreedy will try a 47-yard field goal. And that would match his longest of this season, except that the Eskimos take too much time doing this. And now I'm not sure he's able to try a field goal.
Edmonton number 4, third down repeated.
He will if they want to let him try from 52 yards out, or else he'll punt.
Kind of surprising that this juncture of the season, the teams are having problems making sure they got all the people on the field that are supposed to be there.
We would expect it from BC, perhaps, but not from Edmonton in this
Perhaps,
game.
yeah.
Oh, McAreedy's going to try a 52-yarder. Not nearly long enough. Rick Ryan returns the wrong way. And the fans don't like that. The Lions do lead, though, 7-3.
CFL Priority Courier Player of the Week. The lineman player for week number 9 is Edmonton's Mike Walker. The Edmonton Eskimos sacked it to their arch-rival Calgary Stampeders 38-4 on Labor Day, with Walker leading the charge. The 9-year CFL stalwart spent the day in the Stampeder backfield, applying constant pressure, notching 4 of Edmonton's 7 sacks. Mike Walker, CFL Priority Courier Lineman Player of the Week.
Doug Flutie and the Lions have the ball inside their 10-yard line. Flutie trying to flare it to Skinner. It was over his head, and he couldn't quite bring it down.
Well, that's the kind of thing that Doug Flutie enjoys doing. Now, the thing that surprises me a little bit is that the Lions are really not employing much in the way of motion in their offense. It's a very much a set offense, and I think that's all that's doing is making it easier for the Edmonton Eskimos to defend against what they're trying to do.
Back to the shotgun on second down. It worked for them on their touchdown drive. Flutie hands the ball to Skinner, who cuts to the opening and is down at the 11-yard line. Good hit by Keith Gooch, which will force the punt. I think the shotgun has some possibilities against the Edmonton defense. Let's face it, a lot of teams have had trouble moving the ball against Edmonton any other way.
That's for sure. On that play, you saw Flutie take the ball and actually step up and hand the ball to the back, who then ran the draw. One reason that he's behind, the back I should say is in front of the quarterback, is that they're hoping that middle linebacker runs out of there when he sees the quarterback behind the running back. He's told to stay in there. Once a quarterback passes the running back, then to bail out.
Joe Faragalli says the one constant when the BC Lions play, no matter who's coaching, no matter who else is playing at other positions, Louis Pasaglia, and we know enough to watch for this guy to pass or run from punt formation. Maybe not now. Here they have only 11 players on the field. Last time it was 13.
Number 5, third down repeated.
So they're all around it. 12 is what they need, and 12 is what they've got now, but it'll cost them.
Well, you got to get that stuff squared away. And if Jim Young was at one time a special teams coach, if he's a head coach now, he's got other responsibilities. He's got to designate someone to make sure that everyone's on the field. One of the other coaches.
Gizmo Williams, first return of the game. Trying to get outside. He's going the wrong way. And is it ever the wrong way? Dropped the ball after the whistle, I believe. No, I don't believe the whistle is blown. They're going to give it to the Lions.
Derek McCready, the rookie, and I'm really impressed with the pursuit. Tony Visco there. I mean, you know, there's no way you figure that he just had a great angle and was able to cut Gizmo off before he got all his speed up, because you didn't figure there's no way he should be able to keep up to him in a foot race.
Well, he made the first mistake. Andrew McConnell was lazy trying to pick up the ball, and thus it is a turnover in BC's favor. Flutie straight downfield. Christensen has got it and is down at the 1-yard line.
Do you sense a sigh of relief running through this BC Lion team at this point, regardless of what happens in the rest of the game? Joe Farragalli was worried. He said, listen, ignore what's going on in BC. We're here to play a game. He says, I want you to go out there and do what you're capable of doing. Ignore all the other stuff that's swirling around the other team. If you do that, we'll be all right. Just play your game. Right now, they're not heeding his advice.
And the Lions are fired up. Kennard Martin is at the goal line, not in the end zone. Let's say this about the play that has put the Lions here. It is the first play of more than 40 yards that Doug Flutie has been involved in this season. He has not passed for more than 40 until now. He hasn't run for 40 nor handed to anybody who's run for more than 40. So the biggest play of the season for Doug Flutie in terms of yardage has the Lions ready to score again. 2nd and goal from a yard out. Flutie himself, no signal, no touchdown.
Well, it's interesting, that statistic that you bring up, David, because I think this game you seem to notice that Flutie has been either given the mandate or he's been told by the coaching staff, let's open this thing up a little bit. Let's not worry so much about the ball control. Let's really try and get some big plays on the Eskimos. Because let's face it, the Eskimo defense is an extremely tough defense to try and work the ball down the field against.
As befits the situation and the mood of the Lions, they're going for it on 3rd down. 3 backs. Flutie himself. One big man to beat. He throws a touchdown if it had been held. It was dropped by Jamie Terrace, and the Eskimos hold. He was alone. The pass was fine. Terrace couldn't hold it, and a flag comes down. This is after the play, so there's no doubt about whose ball it is. I don't believe.
Objectionable conduct. Edmonton number 13 after the play. 1st down.
Well, what they're doing here is that you see the fake block by Terrace. He's going to step down like he's blocking, and then what he does is he releases to the outside in anticipation of all the defenders for the Eskimos to come inside. Then he releases out, and Flutie just rolls out in that direction. Takes a pretty good shot, but does manage to get the ball off.
Well, what you just saw, the penalty against Mark Mathis of the Eskimos, is a penalty that cannot be applied because the Eskimos are on the 1-yard line anyway. They can't go further back. Tracy Ham throws it deep. Keith Wright in a foot race, and it is almost picked off by Jefferson. And an interesting, and for the BC Lions, successful first quarter is over with the Lions holding the lead, and it could be a larger one. Well, the first quarter is kind to BC tonight. Otherwise, not so, as the Eskimos normally dominate the first quarter. Ham in danger of a safety. He's got to run for his life now, and maybe a first down. He's out at the 10, and he is short of the first down. Wants the spot and complains that he didn't get the favorable one.
Well, once again, you see that he's been told by Joe Faragelli, if it's not there right away, don't hang back in there and worry about proving that you're a quarterback. In other words, by proving to anyone that you can stand in the pocket and find the receiver downfield. Do what you do the best. That is, you're a good athlete. If the pass isn't there immediately, don't stand in there and take the sack. And they've had problems this year with giving up sacks, the most in the league with 39, and that's the most by quite a bit.
Joe Faragelli actually wanted to know how far they had to go, as if he might consider gambling on third down from his 10-yard line just to put some life into the Eskimos and keep the ball in their hands. But it's not a wise move, and so Ray McEready will punt from his end zone. Nice high punt by the rookie. Edgerton. Eskimos spill him a yard or two inside Edmonton territory. Good field position for the Lions as they try to add to their lead.
Well, that's right, David. They are off to a good start, and a good start, a lot of it is predicated upon good special teams play. Coaches a lot of times say, I can tell how my team's going to do by the opening kickoff. If they come out with a lot of enthusiasm and fire on those special teams, and it's been said, one of the reasons that teams are scoring so many points this year is that good special teams play is giving them the ball in good field position.
Chris Skinner tries to get outside, now up the field, and a good gain by Skinner to the 40-yard line for a first down.
Big part of the BC Lion game plan is to work that short side running game. In other words, they figure with a guy like Larry Clarkson, who's over 300 or more pounds, working against Leroy Blue, they've got a good size mismatch there. And what they're going to do is just tell him to get on this guy, engulf him, and let the back pick his way up through the line.
Skinner and Kennard Martin, the running backs, behind Doug Flutie, who's quite a runner himself. Flutie pumped it a couple of times and almost threw an interception. Dan Bass went low for the pass that had Flutie thrown it any higher would have been intercepted.
He's pretty lucky there. Right now, I think with Doug Flutie, he could help his own situation here perhaps, and rather than standing in that pocket and bouncing around and getting happy feet, he's probably better off just taking that ball and running out of there and trying to create some pressure on the perimeters of that defense.
Well, don't think it's easy for him to see his receivers when he's in the position he was there. Shotgun now, lets Flutie get outside quickly. Willis came back to the ball, and he's got a first down, or should have. They'll put the ball just inside the 30, which would be enough. Or do they put it on the other side of the 30? Let's see. Fans not happy with where they want to mark the ball. It looked as though Willis probably had it on the Edmonton side of the 30.
Well, no sooner said than Doug Flutie should get out there. He does exactly that, but of course, there is a price to pay for getting outside the pocket and then the protection of those big linemen, and he paid it.
Last third down gamble didn't work at the 1-yard line. They don't have a full yard to get this time. Flutie should keep it himself, I said. Well, he made something out of what looked like nothing, and a first down to Kennard Martin.
Once again, you see how that quarterback moving back around there really creates some hesitation, because now if he tucks the ball under his arm and runs, that defense has got to come forward. But as long as he's got that ball up in a position where he's going to threaten to throw it, they've got to back off. All that does is gives his receivers time to find an area or a dead zone where there's no defenders and make the catch.
You saw there Flutie attracted too many Eskimos. Really, somebody should have been worrying about the receiver. Martin. Skinner moves forward as he's hit, and his momentum carries him to the 15 and beyond.
The BC Lions have a pretty good running attack. That's one thing that perhaps in all their woes has been really underrated on their part, is that Chris Skinner, for example, as a fullback, has got 6.4 yards rushing every time he touches a ball. Well, that's tremendous. If you can get that out of your running backs, you're in great shape.
Well, if you can get that here, the Lions have a first down. They will go to the shotgun on 2nd and 4. Flutie is hurried, scrambles, and down. And they'll have to try for 3 or some other kind of razzle-dazzle, because it is 3rd down. And the first sack of Doug Flutie is registered by the sack leader.
Doug Flutie that time was trying to go to his one receiver side and hoping he got a one-on-one mismatch. Stu Hill just using that tremendous speed of his to get around Larry Clarkson. Larry Clarkson, rather than shuffling his feet and staying in front of Stu Hill, tries to chop him and throw himself at his legs. Stu Hill's just too good an athlete to go down that easily.
That's a dozen for Hill. He had a little trouble making it, but does Flutie down. Field goal blocked. Eskimos have it at the 30-yard line. So the Lions continue to lead, but if everything had worked right, the Lions could have a much bigger lead than 4 points.
When it comes to Edmonton, Reimer does it better. From the east and within the west, Reimer brings the goods this city needs and carries the products to all other parts of Canada. Nobody delivers it better, faster, and at a more cost-efficient price. And nobody dares challenge Reimer's exclusive guarantee, on time or free. Reimer Express, winner, Canada Award for Business Excellence in Quality.
It's hard to get a family car driver too excited, but 33% off Goodyear Vectors just might do it. The touring sedan driver's astute sense of commerce will attract them to 25% off Eagle GAs. The performance guy doesn't need any hype, not with 25% off the Goodyear Eagle ST. Of course, nothing gets you moving as fast as this set of Goodyear tires, but sorry, they're not street legal.
If you want a proven tartar fighter and a great deal more, new Tartar Fighting Aquafresh Fresh Mint will knock you over. Its formula's proven to fight tartar buildup above the gum line, and there's more. New Tartar Fighting Aquafresh fights cavities with fluoride and more. It has an effective breath freshener, all in one complete triple protection toothpaste. New Tartar Fighting Aquafresh Fresh Mint. Proven tartar fighting formula and a great deal more.
Jason, I love you, baby.
The Lions have 7 points, but they've missed good chances to get 10 more, 3 of them right here.
Well, experienced defensive back there. You see him come off the end man on the line of scrimmage and flatten out and get a block point in front of the ball.
Reggie Taylor into the open. 50-yard line and into BC territory near the Lions. 50, they'll rule him out at the 52.
Well, once again, the Eskimos continue to work that short game into the short field against that particular side of the BC defense. Now, last time earlier in the season when they were here, they had a lot of success running this particular type of play, where you see it's just a trap play with Knopp coming outside and knocking out the end man on the line of scrimmage, and the back cutting up behind that block.
So many ways the Eskimos have to move the ball. Reggie Taylor certainly one of them. Ham throws through a receiver, and Tracy Ham is not yet in sync with his passing game.
No, they don't look really sharp right now. They look a little bit sluggish, and that obviously is going to be to the benefit of the BC Lions, who hope that continues.
Tracy Ham has had problem with quarterback sacks. He's been down more than any other quarterback. The line sometimes at fault. Joe Faragalli says sometimes it's Ham's fault, sometimes the receiver's fault. This time, Tracy Ham has lots of time to find a receiver, no threat of a sack, and when you give him that much time, he's going to find somebody. It was Keith Wright.
Well, Tracy Ham bought that time, and they're working against the 28-year-old rookie out there, Marlon Brown, number 50 from Memphis State. Now, this is he's only played one game. This is his second game. Cardinal rule as a defensive end: don't lose contain on a quarterback like Tracy Ham. He's going to kill you. Believe me, next time, he's not going to lose contain.
Keith Wright to the 39 of the Lions. Ham way up for Gizmo. Jefferson's going to get it. And he's down in the end zone. Gizmo Williams had no chance. Tracy Ham's upset. Another turnover. The 5th in the game, the 2nd committed by the Eskimos. Molson and CFN proud to bring you the best of Canadian football.
You see Tracy Ham talking to Gary Durchik on the sidelines. He's not overly upset that he threw this interception, but again, Henry Gizmo Williams, he's not going to beat a lot of people deep, I don't think, because they're worried about his speed. He's going to have to force them deep, come back to the ball, and get coordinated with his quarterback. They'll be all right.
Skinner taken down by 2 or 3 Eskimos. Norman Jefferson has missed a couple of games in that corner. He has been one of the bright spots in a BC secondary that has been riddled. And in recent weeks, that hasn't been Jefferson's fault because he has not played in those last 2 ball games, the disasters against the Argos. He's been a good punt returner when he's been at his healthiest, and he has covered well in this game, Gizmo Williams. Back to the shotgun on 2nd down and 7 for Doug Flutie and the Lions. Chris Skinner, good cutback move. First of all, he had to catch the ball, and there was a lot of room when he turned inside instead of going outside.
Well, once again, doing some different things out of the shotgun, because the Edmonton Eskimos, their assumption is that he's back there. He's going to throw that ball deep. They let that rush come up the field to get some separation between the linebackers. Now, it's really important those offensive linemen get on the linebackers. You don't need to kill them with a block. Just screen them off from the running back. They do an effective job that time.
Skinner beat Jeff Braswell by himself at the 47. Flutie to Willis, and he'll go away from a tackler, too. Make sure of the catch in the first down.
Well, see, now, when you do some things like the draws, the screens, which they weren't doing enough of early in the season, you get the running game going with Skinner. Now, all of a sudden, it's starting to open up some seams in that defense. Larry Willis, a little curl pattern, just holding up in there. And if the ball's well thrown, there's nothing those defenders can do, even though there's 3 of them around him.
Those 6 touchdowns tell you that he is dangerous, and every team in this league knows it when it plays the Lions, who are at the Eskimo 52-yard line. Kennard Martin's turn to avoid some tacklers, and the Lions haven't looked this good on offense for a long time, maybe all year.
Well, Danny Bass is, as I like to call him, a wily veteran. It's pretty hard to fool. You see how he just plays off the blockers when they try to cut him. One thing about Danny Bass, he's almost impossible to cut because he runs with his hands down low and just fending guys off. Just got to make the play, that's all.
Martin made 4 yards at his 2nd down and 6. Flutie runs to the left. Over the middle, Christensen, and it was just tipped away from Jay Christensen, who was all set to catch it. Flutie thought he was going to catch it.
You see Stu Hill there is going to be, I think he's a little bit frustrated right now because he's got a good reputation as a pass rusher, and Larry Clarkson come out and blocking on him, and if he needs help, they're going to send Skinner out there too to double team him. The idea behind that, you get help, but it's going to wear any defender down that if play after play when he's trying to pass rush, he has to fight off 2 guys.
Gizmo Williams and Darryl Colbert are deep for the Eskimos, standing inside their 5-yard line. High snap, Pasaglia looks. Punts it to Williams. Will take it at his 2-yard line. And the Lions have him down at the 6. Tony Visco on the tackle. The score remains BC 7, Edmonton 3. The Eskimos' field position when starting offensive drives has not been good tonight, and it isn't good now. Tracy Ham struggling in this first half. Another high pass intended for Colbert. Following this game, a Molson MVP will be selected in our last telecast from Ottawa. Scott Flagel of the Ottawa Rough Riders for 3 pass interceptions was the MVP in a win over Saskatchewan. Tracy Ham's pass completion percentage is far from the best in the league, but it's not usually like this. He is 3 for 14 through the air. Completes one to Ellis. Craig Ellis looking for the big play when he had the first down easily, and he makes something out of that decision to the 25.
Well, they've been trying to go for the deep play, and they're in their own end, and they've been trying to hit the home run pass, and they're not clicking, it's not working. So go back to the things that you do well, get a couple first downs, establish some better field position, and then try and go for the ball.
Reggie Taylor, and he's to the 31-yard line.
Excellent job that time, Reggie Taylor, reading what the defense is trying to do. Guys like Pless and Landry flow so quickly. As soon as they see those linemen pull out to their lefts, they're going to chase them. What Taylor does, as soon as they vacate that area, he just cuts it right back off and runs up the field for a good gain, going north and south.
From the 31, 2nd and 4. Marshall, the lone back behind Tracy Ham. Ham faked a handoff and did it nicely, keeping the ball himself, and calmly goes out of bounds with the first down at the 37. We're at BC Place Stadium. Dave Hodge with Nick Bastaya on the Canadian Football Network. And if you're just joining us, you might be surprised by the score, and further surprised by the fact that the BC Lions could be ahead 17-3 instead of 7-3. They were stopped on 3 cracks from a yard out and then had a field goal block. Potentially 10 points that the Lions could have had and didn't. And saw an opening. It wasn't a big one. He doesn't need a big one. And he's into BC territory down at the 52-yard line.
When Tracy Ham has to scramble, he's a pretty smart runner. And a lot of times people are concerned about if a quarterback's running, there's a potential to get hurt. If you know when to run and how to run, you should be all right. You can either run out of bounds, you can slide like a baseball slide, or you can put your head down, protect yourself. That quarterback is built like a linebacker, and he's never gets hurt. I never see the guy get hurt when he runs. The other thing on that play was Tank Landry coming on the blitz. He gets knocked out of a pass rush lane, creates a gap in there, and Tracy Ham is gone.
At halftime, you will hear what Bob Obilovich had to say earlier in this day when he spoke to us in Toronto before he went to the airport in Toronto to get on a plane that'll bring him to Vancouver, and is doing so right now. Bob Obilovich will land in Vancouver just about the time this game is ending, and he'll be the Lions head coach when it does end, and he'll be meeting with the players first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, he's going to have his hands full for the next week trying to sort out what's going on. And thing with Obilovich, he's always had a good mind, I think, for defense, assessing talent. He doesn't run a kind of defense that gambles much. He's one of those guys that likes to sit back, make you come at him and hope that you're going to create a problem or make a mistake. His biggest thing right now is to get these guys back to feeling a little bit confident about themselves, because right now I'm sure their confidence is shook as a team.
Right now, higher than it has been in a while as they lead the Eskimos. Ellis diving, can't catch it. And it's just not working for Edmonton through the air. Tracy Ham or Reggie Taylor, they've moved the ball to where it is now, but Ham would like to start completing some passes with regularity. Steve Taylor, one of 2 backups dressed for the Eskimos, Warren Jones being the other one. Quarterback debates could really get interesting now in the CFL. We could have the stadium split into 3 sections of fans cheering for their favorites. Not at Edmonton, though. I don't think anybody doubts that Tracy Ham should be number 1, though this is no example of what he usually does. Not a great pass, but a fine catch on the sidelines by Ellis, with Belanger covering him, and the Eskimos move it through the air. Craig Ellis, the favorite receiver of Tracy Ham tonight. There's not much doubt of that.
No, there isn't. And what the Eskimos are doing a lot of right now is they're taking all their backs, their slot backs and everybody, and running them out of the backfield and leaving Tracy Ham back there by himself. The first thing the defense thinks of when they see that is there's nobody back there except Ham. He's not going to probably stay back there. He's going to roll out. And what they do is they back off with their upfield rush. They have a tendency to flatten out in their rush.
Ham for Ellis. This is a touchdown, Edmonton. As finally the Eskimos hit a big play, the familiar combination, Tracy Ham to Craig Ellis.
Well, this is what I call a veteran hookup. Both these guys know each other very well. And the great thing about good veteran teams that are very capable is if things aren't going right, you don't panic. If the score is close, just relax. Sooner or later, we're going to start to get our sync. We're going to get the bugs and the kinks out. And that's why you can always tell a good, experienced veteran football team, things don't go right, they don't panic.
Well, that was a great drive, 100 yards plus. As you'll remember, they started from inside their 10-yard line all the way to the other end for a touchdown and the lead.
CFL Priority Courier Player of the Week. The offensive player for week number 9 is Saskatchewan's Kent Austin. Using a surgeon's precision, the Rough Riders quarterback dissected the Winnipeg defense en route to a 55-11 thrashing of the Blue Bombers in their annual Labor Day Classic. Austin rushed for 1 TD and completed 18 of 27 passes for 390 yards and 4 TDs. Kent Austin, CFL Priority Courier Offensive Player of the Week.
The Edmonton drive 103 yards in 8 plays, the last 36 wound up in that man's arms. Craig Ellis, as a kickoff goes askew and out of bounds. Eskimos will have to do that again. Ray McAreedy giving the Lions no chance to return it. So I think we can say fairly, Nick, that the Eskimos are somewhat fortunate to be in the lead.
Edmonton number 4.
They are, and I'm going to be interested to see how the BC Lions respond to this. We see Tracy Ham there just saying hi to everybody back home, and he kind of just rolls back there. He doesn't really snap back there and get set up. He kind of just gets back there, but it's a timing throw. He doesn't look around. As soon as he gets back, he stops on and throws off the back foot, steps into the throw, and Ellis is where he's supposed to be, just like they do in practice.
Keith Stevens, the designated import from the University of Louisville, almost to midfield, giving the Lions more good field position. .321 to go till halftime. And no matter what, the Lions are going to be proud of their first 30 minutes. More than anybody else might have expected. Stu Hill went for a ride and got some help from Larry Ruck to bring down Skinner. As we'll take a break with exactly 3 minutes to go in the first half. The Eskimos holding their second lead of the game. Norman Jefferson, who has played well on the right corner for the Lions, is injured now. You saw him taken off earlier, and they'll be examined at halftime. Possible knee ligament damage for Norman Jefferson. Second down from the shotgun and from the Edmonton 53 for Doug Flutie. Wanted to go one way, now wants to run the other. Put a move on Toaster Williams, but the Eskimos have too many players there for Doug Flutie to make the first down. Interesting one-on-one battle. Flutie against the Toaster, as we asked Doug Flutie prior to the game his thoughts on what is known as the BC Circus.
Basically to try to stay focused on what's important, and that's playing a football game. It's amazing how no matter what, we're all conditioned to keep going forward with the next step. Larry Koharic and Joe Cat both are instrumental in me being here, yet now you just pick up with the pieces you're left and what's going on, and you just pick up and go. And it's just the nature of the game.
Pick up and go, that's what Gizmo Williams would like to do if Louis Casaglia will kick him the ball. He does, but he keeps it right to the sidelines, which is what you're supposed to do, and so Gizmo has no room with which to run.
Well, I think right now that the Lions, in particular, let's say Jim Young, got to feel pretty good about the fact that these guys at this point in the game certainly haven't given up. They're trying their hardest, trying to do the best job that they can. And I think they were concerned with the last two games where they played the Argos. Something that we hadn't seen from the Lions earlier in the year was that they had basically given up going into the fourth quarter. They were content to let the things, let the tide carry them rather than fighting for the full 60 minutes. So they got to be heartened with the performance to this point tonight.
Ham finding Ellis, but he finds no room. Willie Pless was there, among others. First time that Major Harris has pulled on the BC Lions uniform to play a game. Hasn't got the helmet on yet, and may not if Doug Flutie plays the whole game. It should be said that the Lions, under Larry Kuharich this season, never played a game in which the starting quarterback went all the way. Doug Flutie's done that so far for almost a half. Ham, not much time. He throws it, and it was almost picked off. Visco right back there battling for the ball and causing the incompletion.
It's extremely important in this particular type of defense that the Lions are employing that Visco gets back and gives some inside help to the defensive back or the halfback inside by Craig Ellis. Visco reads that really well and comes up and takes that, and he's really improved as a football player since coming over from the Argos. One reason, I think, is because they've left him in a one spot and let him play that linebacker spot instead of moving him around in different positions.
Eskimos come back with Ray McAreedy punt, and No yards will be called. Edgerton is in reverse, but it's not going to hurt him because of the penalty. So the penalty does hamper a fine punt by McEready, and good coverage by the Eskimos. Too good with respect to the no yards rule.
No yards. Edmonton number 9. First down.
The offensive coordinator, Bob Hefner, is upstairs talking to third quarterback Joe Pow. We have to get used to that term. The veteran Pow with the headset on at the Lions bench. Flutie with the completed pass to Jay Christensen. Well, it's Jim Young's one and only chance to be interviewed as a head coach. So we asked him, with all that has gone on, just how well he was sleeping.
I finally got a little sleep this morning, but it's been hectic, and it's been really traumatic around the team, and I think they've responded accordingly. Unfortunately, we played badly in the last 2 games. I think a little bit of that, I don't know what you want to call it, doubt or disturbance has been lifted. They know now who their coach is going to be. They know who their other coaches are going to be, and I think maybe we can go and think about football for tonight.
Yeah, they know who the coach is tonight, and they know who the coach will be tomorrow.
Well, the interesting thing yesterday, he wanted to lighten up the atmosphere, the doom and gloom around their camp, and so he told the guys, okay, it's crazy hat day today, guys. Everybody wear the wildest hat that you can find. Doesn't seem like much, but it breaks up, like I said, the doom and gloom surrounding the team.
There's a pat in the back for anybody on that sideline wherever possible in this game. Flutie, Edgerton had it, and it went right into the arms of Enos Jackson for an interception, and that one is not Doug Flutie's fault in any way, shape, or form. Alertness by Jackson to credit the Eskimos, but that should have been a completed pass.
Doug Flutie is throwing the ball well as soon as he makes his read. If he doesn't have to hesitate, he's throwing the ball extremely well, and moving him around back there really helps him to get a little more into the throw. Now, Edgerton didn't expect Jackson to be right there when he turned around, and Jackson, I thought, showed tremendous strength. He almost got away from Edgerton. Take that in for a touchdown.
So it's not the Lions with a scoring chance near the end of the half, but rather the Eskimos. 2 yards from midfield. Ham slings one for a first down. And Ellis again, and the Lions are going to have to shut him off because that's the one passing play that has worked for the Eskimos. It's brought them their touchdown.
He's working against a rookie, Remy Trudel, who's a little nervous right now. He doesn't want to get beat deep. The only problem with that is he's giving him too much of a cushion. He's going to have to come up tougher and play him tougher.
The Lions played that one nicely, a draw play. Blake Marshall carrying, I believe, for the first time in the game, and it went nowhere.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, that defensive line of the Lions, they don't have very much experience. But one thing, if you don't have experience or you're young, you better bring a lot of enthusiasm to this game. The big thing is, let's not try to make all pro tonight. Play the defense as it called. We don't need heroes out there, and they're doing that.
Marlon Brown, good job on containing Tracy Ham, but Ham finds Reggie Taylor, and Taylor gets the first down and out of bounds to stop the clock. Excellent job by Marlon Brown, a relative newcomer. But when you play Tracy Ham well, he can still beat you.
Well, he certainly can, and he didn't need a coach to tell him the first time that if you lose contain, bad things happen with Ham. That was part of their game plan tonight, to try to get Tracy Ham outside the contain where he can create a lot of damage. Marlon Brown shows good speed to pursue, and then everybody else on that defense now, when they see him hold up, they've got to close in on Ham and get their hands up in his face so he can't find those receivers. It's extremely difficult for those defenders to keep running with those backs downfield.
Final minute of the half, and the Lions have reinserted Norman Jefferson on his wobbly knee as the Eskimos are threatening to score. And speaking of players who are limping a bit, that's Reggie Taylor after the play. Norm Jefferson in on the right corner. The Lions getting back to their starting secondary without Jefferson. BC's been having trouble, especially inside. Robin Belanger had been in there, is now out. Taylor leads. Eskimos first down. 54 seconds remaining in the half. Too high, and most of Ham's problems have been passes thrown up there or down too low. There haven't been too many thrown exactly where he'd like them.
No, and he seems to be having more trouble throwing from the pocket tonight. I don't know if his mechanics are stepping into the throw. If he doesn't step into the throw and throws it off his back foot, it's going to float. When he's out there running and he can get a little bit of his body behind the throw, he seems to be more effective.
Sitting in the pocket and throwing over the middle, and that one's intercepted as it should have been the way it was thrown. Too high, and the Lions are back deep in their own zone, but they've taken the ball away. Flag comes down after the play. Tracy Ham must leave, and the Lions will now try to protect the ball for 41 seconds.
Well, he's the quarterback of the defense, Rick Ryan, and he's the other number 8 out there, I guess. And as soon as he reads a quarterback where the quarterback is looking, he's going to step in that particular direction. Wherever the quarterback goes, whatever direction he goes, his job is to go and lend support that side.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 4 BC after the interception. First down.
The newcomer Billy Bell is called. It doesn't cost the Lions much in terms of yardage. This would if in terms of manpower if Tank Landry couldn't continue as they work on him. That was an awful pass that Tracy Ham threw. Too high, wobbled the whole way. And is sort of symptomatic of his first half and the troubles he's had throwing the ball.
Well, I think when they get in the locker room at halftime, Coach Farragelli is going to tell them, look at Tracy, you're having some problems back in the pocket. Let's move you around a little bit more. Let's try and get you out to where you can be effective and put some pressure on that defense. And I think what Farragelli likes about Tracy Ham is that if there's a problem, he's an easy guy to talk to. He doesn't take criticism poorly, keeps his chin up. He's always got a smile on his face. And I think that's a mark of a true professional. Rather than walking around the sideline sulking when things aren't going well, he doesn't let that bother him. He's talking plays over with the other guys and saying, okay, some things aren't working. Let's concentrate on what does work and get after it.
Well, if he's an optimist, if this is the worst half of football he's played, the Eskimos are still in front. He can look at it that way because of his 24th touchdown pass of the season. Murray Pezim, who's been through a lot, as have his BC Lion employees. Murray hoping he's on the right track now with a new general manager, a new coach. Skinner is out of bounds. I think that's a safety. That is 2 points for Edmonton as Chris Skinner went out of bounds in the end zone.
Chris Skinner, that's a mental error as much as anything. Chris Skinner's got to be aware of where he is on that field, running along the goal line. If you're not going to break contain or get outside, turn it up as quickly as possible, at least gain the line of scrimmage. But you can see at this point, he knows he's in trouble. Rather than giving up and getting pushed out of bounds, turn it back up the field, because more than anything, this is a mental error.
Helped along by the good play of Keith Gooch, and before that, Dan Bass to string Skinner right out to those sidelines.
Well, on the short side of the field, you don't have a lot of room to run to the sideline like you do when you're on the wide side of the field. You've got to turn that ball up pretty quickly. And Jim Young is upset, and he's got every right to be, because that's not a physical mistake. That's a mental mistake.
Maybe not the right play to call either.
Well, you're thinking down in there, you're going to run. You hope to get something, and you hope to get a first down, run out the clock. But once again, on that short field, turn it up and get what you can.
One early cheap one, no more cheap ones, huh? Hey.
Edmonton having a decision to make here. Will not ask the Lions to kick it to them, but will rather take the ball at their 35-yard line. .35 seconds to go. Unless there's another turnover or something disastrous for the Eskimos, they're going to have the lead at halftime, and by rights, it should belong to the Lions. BC has botched opportunities and has given away points like those two. Walling is into the game, and Brian Walling had such a good game playing for Reggie Taylor against Calgary in a rushing capacity. Catches a pass here.
Great thing about that is that not only do you get the gain, but it gives Tracy Ham an opportunity to once again complete a pass, get some of that confidence back. I don't think the BC Lions are going to give up the long one tonight, at least not in the first half.
Well, Jefferson's in there on that bad knee. Let's not forget that. Walling dropped one on second down, and so the play calling there is interesting. Tracy Ham trying twice to a running back for short yardage when there's not much time left, only 18 seconds left, and he's upset either at himself or at Walling that time, as the Eskimos will have to punt it away.
Well, they certainly don't look in sync tonight, and that's unusual because they are a well-coached team.
Sloppy on both sides, so we say, about the first half. Understandable maybe where the Lions are concerned. And I guess if you subscribe to the theory that the Eskimos might have been thinking about too many other things and not how tough this game could be, understandable where they're concerned. Halftime is supposed to take those cobwebs away from the good team. We'll see if Edmonton is better in the second half. Edgerton fumbles the ball, and the Lions recover one of their fumbles. Or that would have been a chance with 5 seconds to go for the Eskimos to add to their lead. So now, I think Doug Flutie snaps the ball and drops on it once or twice.
Well, when they get in at halftime, Jim Young's got to tell these guys, listen, believe that you got a chance to win this football game. The great hit by Walling that time. The ball was chucked away. I thought it was just, anytime you can get that helmet flush on the ball like that, often as not, it's more than anything a lucky hit, I would think, but they're lucky they escaped that time.
At halftime, Bob Obilovich and his thoughts on his present and his future and his past for you Argo fans. Flutie wasting as much time as possible. Only 1 second came off the clock with that play. Seemed to be, might have stood there for 2 seconds, but now he'll do the same thing and the half will be over. And the Lions will be close to the Eskimos. And but for BC turnovers, the Lions would have the lead. With Jefferson back in the game, maybe the Lions' biggest injury problem now at halftime will be Tank Landry. They'll have a look at him and Norman Jefferson. The Eskimos will go and promise to play better in the second half, I would think. The Eskimos do lead, though, 12-7 at the half. Edmonton leading, but not by much. After one half of football at BC Place Stadium, it's 12-7 for the Eskimos over the Lions. Bob Obilovich came from Montana to the Ottawa Roughriders in 1963 as a part-time quarterback and full-time defensive back. Obilovich appeared in the 1966 Grey Cup, losing to the other Roughriders from Saskatchewan. He made his mark as a coach in Toronto, winning the Argos' first Grey Cup in more than 30 years. Bob Obilovich was a Toronto hero at the time.
2nd and 5 or less, he said it's been too deep. 2nd and long, it's been 0.
Now he talks to Lions in BC, and today he talked to us.
It really was not feasible, really. With the time I got there, they'd already named Young as the interim head coach. They had been working on the game plan, and it was, you know, it would have been, I would have just muddled it up to try and get ready for this game, and it's better for me to just get away from it and let them do what they had to do. And we got some time before the next game, so we'll get them organized for the next one. I have to say that I think Mr. Pesham's one of the most interesting guys I've ever met, and I think that if we can do this thing in a really positive way, that it could be a great experience, because I know the guy really wants badly to make that a successful franchise for the fans in BC, and I'm just hoping I'll be able to help him accomplish that. I think that, you know, I really don't believe all that stuff that, you know, the coach is the sacrificial lamb and that kind of thing, because I think that the things you stand for today, you did yesterday and will again tomorrow. So it probably, if anything, it just probably helped me to even reinforce my feelings and my beliefs and my confidence in myself. and my faith in my abilities and those kind of things. It gave me a lot of time to think about those things from a philosophical nature, but it's just part of the business, I guess, and it's just something you have to deal with, and I'm really hopeful this will be the last job that I'll have as far as the future of my coaching career is concerned, and that everything will work out, and that those past experiences will serve me well for my new job. I don't regret the decision that was made, especially on my part, because I really didn't want to stay in some other capacity, and coaching was what I wanted to do, and it was their decision. Mr. Arness was very adamant about, wanting to have a new coach, and I thought there were a lot of reasons why he shouldn't have a new coach, but, that's neither here nor there. It happened. From my own standpoint, and I have to sit down and talk to the coaching staff and then see these players in practice on the field and look at them with my own eyes. And I think that, any changes I can bring at this time, which is, almost 2/3 of the way through the schedule, it'll have to be subtle ones. I think my past experience in knowing the league, that maybe some things with the American-Canadian balance, once I see what our strong points and weak points are, there may have to be a few personnel changes, but it's not going to be any mass move of, getting my players in there. He's a great football talent, but at the time, it was the best thing for Doug, and I told him that, if he didn't have football in his life, he had nothing, and that I was going to help him to try and get his life in order, and that by trying to relocate him, because at the time, Toronto just, he'd worn out his welcome, so to speak, there because of what was going on. So it was unfortunate, but I'm confident that if we can sit down man to man and talk about it, that there won't be any problem. But I'm going to tell you right now, and in difference to our whole football team, that there isn't any one individual in our football team that's going to be bigger than the team itself. I've always felt very strongly about my own ability to assess talent and look for players, and I've always kept a close hand to the Canadian draft in every job I've been with in this league, so I'm well aware of how important your Canadian content is to be successful in the CFL. And I will definitely be looking to find a quality guy in that area and somebody that I think can do a great job for us. And the one thing I've always stressed to the players as a coach is that, and especially because of the nature of the business at the professional level, is that, I don't really care if they like me. I feel like I can get along and I'm personable enough to establish a good rapport with any person as an individual and collectively. But the number one thing as a head coach is that you have their respect. And that's the thing that I always try to work from. And I have the same feeling about them as players. And I want them to have that feeling about me as I have of them, and that we can work things out. And if they have something to say or do, I want them to come to me right to my face, and we'll work it out or talk about it. And if there is a problem, we'll take care of that too somehow.
Bob Obilovich is an hour away from Vancouver and just a few overnight hours away from meeting for the first time officially with his BC Lion players. A low-scoring first half for this season, and certainly for the Eskimos. Each team with a touchdown. The Lions should have two, however. Pitch, and Skinner's going to throw it, and Alexander's wide open and will score a touchdown. Flutie himself, one big man to beat. He throws a touchdown if it had been held. It was dropped by Jamie Terrace.
He's going to roll out, and what they do is they back off with their upfield rush. They have a tendency to flatten out in their rush.
And for Ellis, this is a touchdown, Edmonton. Craig Ellis, the offensive star of the first half, 6 catches for 95 yards. Tracy Hand completed only 10 passes. In total, the Eskimos lead by 5.
This CFN game is an exclusive presentation of Sport OV. OV Real Life Beer. And Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL.
Eskimos and Ray McAreedy will kick off to start the third quarter. Keith Stevens deep along with Tim Edgerton, who has had some problems holding on to the ball in the first half. Edgerton runs underneath it. Has a little trouble this time, too. But it doesn't hurt the return in the end as he gets close to the 45. Doug Flutie has completed almost 50%, actually a little more than 50%, and Tracy Ham is well under that. Ham has the touchdown pass, though, and Flutie doesn't. Chris Skinner is the guy that's thrown the touchdown pass for the Lions. And Flutie should have had one to Jamie Terrace. So it's first down, 43-yard line. Lions in possession in their own zone, and they'll shotgun on first down. Mike Walker missed Flutie. Flutie throws it deep for Alexander. Too far.
Very often the first play of the game or first play of a half is merely done to set something else up. If it connects, great. If it doesn't, what you're doing is making the defense cognizant that you've got to cover this full field. And if that ball had been there, that could have been 6 points, because it was a great move on Alexander's part just to swim over top of Francis and get downfield.
I think Andre Francis for a moment thought, he was clearly out of play, but the ball wasn't thrown soon enough. And Francis had a chance to recover, and in the end it was thrown too far. Flutie to Willis. He's taken down short of the first down. Quick whistle there as that ball came out before Willis hit the ground.
The Eskimos are doing an effective job of they're rushing with their front four. The other thing that they're doing is that as long as the Lions leave those backs in to block, those linebackers are going to check. If they don't run out of there, they're going to come also, and that extra pressure is going to force Flutie to perhaps throw the ball before he wants to, and then the defensive backs just come up and make the play like you saw there.
Eskimos wary of Pasaglia's running and throwing ability, but all he's done is punted, and punted well. This is a big one to Colbert. Gizmo can only watch and try to block. Colbert drops it and then drops on it at the 10-yard line. Louis Pasaglia honored at halftime by the Lions and the Canadian Football League officially for being the all-time leading point scorer in the CFL. Commissioner Donald Crump, and there's a picture of the record point with a suitable inscription. And what you just saw Louis do was punt one 53 yards. Eskimos again, and this is the third or fourth time they've been at the 10-yard line or inside it. Starting first down. Ham, all sorts of time. He will run. Flag down. Ham out at the 16, and the penalty should be against the Eskimos for holding, which is going to take them back inside the 10.
Well, Greg Jolson was trying to get after Ham and worried about, again, keeping contained that time. And as he was chasing him, I don't know if he was necessarily held from behind. He may have been pushed from behind, but he went down, and they're trying to buy more time for Tracy Ham.
Illegal block. Edmonton number 66. First down repeated.
Well, some credit to the Lions for covering all the receivers. Ham couldn't find one, and he had lots of time to look for just about as many as were downfield. Back at the 5-yard line. First down again. Ham a quick one, and Reggie Taylor didn't know it was coming.
Well, they've got to read the same thing. Now, Tracy Ham reads that those linebackers are up tight to the line. If they're going to send those linebackers, all you do is you try to sneak the back up through the line, catch that quick pass, and he's off to the races. But fortunately, Reggie Taylor didn't see the same thing that Tracy Ham did.
Fortunate for the Eskimos that no Lion was there to see it and pick it off. Second down. Ham's going to go back into his end zone and have to come out of there or give back the 2 points they got.
What I said earlier about trying not to be a hero is very applicable here. They stayed in their pass rush lanes. Young guys have a tendency to get excited, but they kept their cool. They just kept squeezing, pushing the pocket, closing it in on Ham. and then when he tries to run off, you come off the block and make the play. Excellent defense that time by the Lions.
Hey, don't do it better than that. Give him nowhere to run, and then when he tries to run anyway, make sure he can't. Good play by Dietrich Wise. Containing and then tackling, and Ray McAreedy's above his season average tonight. He'll want a good one here as he kicks it out of the end zone. Very high. Stevens right at midfield, and Keith Stevens is at the 45. Lions down by 5, have the ball in Edmonton territory, trailing 12-7. A midway look at our scorecard of important indicators. The Lions leading in only one area, the last one. The bottom one, they did lead after the first quarter, but everything else is close, and that's probably why the game is too. The Eskimos not having their usual advantage in some of those areas, like quarterback sacks and turnovers. Flutie with the time, and didn't do him any good either, as Jay Christensen couldn't catch it.
See Sean Stewart getting his knee examined on the sidelines. When a guy goes down in a game, it's usually his responsibility as he's coming off the field to say, so-and-so has got me on the special teams. A lot of times the problem will occur if he can't tell his replacement that you've got me. Often that's when you end up with one man short.
That's hurt the Lions tonight early in the game. Second down as they stay in the shotgun, which has at least been giving Doug Flutie more time than he might otherwise expect, as long as he gets the snap. And he has to ground that one, and the Eskimos see Flutie hit after the play by Stuart Hill, and that'll bring a penalty. Edmonton wondering why no penalty called as Flutie gets up slowly, but the late hit by Stuart Hill is going to hurt the Eskimos.
Well, it keeps things going, and Stu Hill really had an excellent play that time by just keeping contained, not allowing Flutie to break contain. But then what he does is he really makes a point of driving Flutie down and using his body weight to really punish him, and that's what they're calling him for.
Ordinarily, that's a good hit, I guess, in anybody but the quarterback. And the Lions will hand the ball to Kennard Martin. Good job by Martin to wait until that hole emerged, and he cut it upfield inside the 25.
An experienced running back very often will set up his blocking. In other words, you see him stutter step as he's running here. Now, sure, he's looking for a place to turn up, but the other thing is he doesn't want to get ahead of his blocking. As long as that blocking is developing in front of him, then when he sees the hole open, he turns it up the field.
Gain to the 23-yard line. A gain of 6. It is 2nd and 4. Martin, 15-yard line, first down Lions.
Well, the Eskimos had planned to bring the linebackers a little bit, and the one way to control those linebackers from blitzing, if they're going to blitz, throw the ball to the outside. If they're going to sit back in there, then you try and flare your backs out. So regardless of what the defenders do, you're always in a position where you've got extra receivers out there, and then it's one-on-one.
1st and 10, BC, 15 yards away from the Edmonton end zone. Skinner taken down. Good play by Jeff Braswell for a loss of a yard.
Well, you see, the Lions are really trying to work that short field running game, and they said that they were going to and try and double team the blocks. Braswell often is not, maybe doesn't play it as fundamentally sound as a coach would like to see, but a lot of times when you're a veteran player, if you know what you're supposed to be doing, you can gamble a little bit, take a chance, and in that case he did. And when you take a chance, a lot of times you get a big play.
2nd and long, the snap will come back to Doug Flutie in the shotgun formation. He'll cut back, and he's got room to run. Flutie at the 10, and he's out short of a first down. He took a hit right on the sidelines. No flag attached to that, as the hit was fine. It is 3rd down, and Jim Young is the head coach for times like these.
Nose tackle Brett Williams gets pushed out of his lane. He came up the field, had a chance. Now, when he's gone out of the middle there, that's really his responsibility to put the hit on the quarterback, or at least control him from running up the middle.
if he's out of the middle there, it opens wide up, and there's nobody else that's got that job. It puts a lot of responsibility on the nose tackle, but that is his responsibility there, and it's an excellent read by Flutie.
It looks like a field goal. Pasaglia's last one was blocked. 15-yarder. Yes, he kicks it, and it's good. And the difference in the game now is the safety that the Eskimos counted late in the half, the first half. You're watching Molson Canadian Football Network. Louis Pasaglia to kick off, and if the Lions keep kicking it away from Gizmo Williams, I wonder how long it'll be till the Eskimos try a reverse from Colbert to Williams. Not this time. Colbert looking for room and gets what he can up the sidelines to the 42-yard line.
That's about as good a field position as they've had all game.
And normally they would expect better than that. Tracy Ham expects to be better at quarterback than he's been. A 12-10 score for Edmonton. 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, and you see Tracy Ham has 17 passes that weren't caught by his own players and 10 that were. And really nothing to the wide receivers. His success has been to Craig Ellis. Reggie Taylor fumbles the ball. Lions have it. Call the turnovers even, and the Lions now have a chance to go ahead of the scoreboard.
I think it was Alondra Johnson once again just doing a terrific job of reading this play and coming up in there. Not really allowing this play to get turned upfield. They fill the gaps. No room to turn up inside there. And you see that they're playing right at this point. They're playing on the Edmonton Eskimo side of the line of scrimmage, and that's what makes it so effective. They didn't get any push that time. BC Lions pushed them back, results in a turnover.
The best team in the league, turnover ratio against the worst tonight, but they're even. 4 turnovers aside. Flutie on first down wanted to go long, and Ray Alexander wasn't coming free, nor was the back Kennard Martin, and Flutie had to eat it.
Well, that's a good point, David, because I believe he was looking for Ray Alexander on the one-man side. The only thing was he didn't feel he really had enough time to let that pattern develop fully. The pass rush just got to him too quickly. And the Eskimos are starting to bring a little bit more heat now, bringing some more linebackers. And I feel if they can contain Flutie in there, make him throw from the pocket, because of his size, get their hands up, they're going to create a lot of problems for him.
Shotgun, second down and long from the 45. Willis has the catch. It is not a first down, but it does provide a much easier field goal try for Louis Pasaglia.
You don't know what they're wrong with Jeff Braswell. He's playing a pretty good football game tonight. He's been all over the field, and he's been kind of relaxed tonight too. Do you notice that? He's been playing hard, but he hasn't been really like a tendency to criticize him for foaming at the mouth a little bit, but he looked pretty relaxed out there tonight. He's playing well.
Pasaglia with a chance to give the Lions the lead, and they've got it. BC by a point halfway through the third quarter. The Lions have the only 6 points of the second half, and they have used those 6 points to take the lead. Another Pasaglia kickoff. They've really frustrated Gizmo Williams. He gets a chance this time for a kickoff return, and one chance is all he needs. And guess who made the tackle? Louis Pasaglia.
I don't think Louis wants to do that too often. He's going to talk to those guys on the sidelines. Let's really close it around Gizmo. That's not fun. One thing is he's a short, muscular guy moving with a lot of speed, and when you have to hit him, it hurts.
36 yards on the return as the Eskimos get the ball out to their 51. And outside, not a great pass. Good recovery by Darryl Colbert to make the catch. Jefferson, who had some knee problems in the first half, is in there to cover Darryl Colbert.
See, with that injury to Jefferson, we don't know if it's something that's going to affect maybe his speed. I don't think so, but what it may affect his ability to turn and run or make a cut with the receiver. So look for them to try and work on him a little bit.
And the other cornerback is brand new to the CFL. They go against him with Keith Wright this time, and Billy Bell pushes right out of bounds. Another first down, though, as suddenly they start finding the wide receivers.
Well, that's an option type of play for the quarterback and the receiver. If Billy Bell has got that receiver going deep and you're not going to get behind him, break off your pattern, go to the sidelines, get some separation, I'll throw it to you.
Here come the Lions trying to blitz Tracy Ham. It doesn't work until now, and he gets away once, twice. And there's a quick one. Oh, Brian Walling had to lean back and make sure that pass didn't knock him down. He's at the 30-yard line.
I'll tell you, if he didn't catch that, that might have stuck right in his face mask. And you see that they've changed their game plan with Tracy in the second half. They're not worried about keeping him in the pocket, throwing from the pocket. They're moving him around, and he is going to create problems for no matter who's out there. You got to give credit to the BC linemen. They're going to lose a lot of weight tonight chasing him around, harassing him.
That's a lot of running for not very much on the completed pass. He only gained 3 by throwing it to Walling. 2nd and 7, just outside the 30. Blitz, down he goes, fumble ball, Lions recover. Apparently they are leaving the ball in Edmonton's possession. No signal that it goes over to BC. Was he down or wasn't he?
Willie Platt is not blocked on this play. Now, if he's coming free, that back that's supposed to pick him up, if he's not there, and you see both backs are to the other side of the field, Brian Walling either has to come over to pick him up or get out of there, so Tracy Ham is someone to throw the ball to.
An awfully quick whistle. Very quick whistle as the Lions fans are not happy. The Eskimos still have a chance. Third quarter with BC in front for the moment. McAreedy trying to change that. It is no good. It hit the post. Dead ball, and the score remains 13-12 in favor of the Lions. Well, Joe Farragelli should be scared the way this game has gone. We asked him before the game if anything concerned him.
My biggest concern is what my guys do and whether they play smart and play hard and play with a lot of intensity. We had a similar situation last year when Larry Donovan was released and Joe Galat was the head coach right on this field. So it's something we faced before.
And he might not want to face again. A reverse to Edgerton. He got away from one. That should have been a big loss, and instead the Lions turned it into a big game.
Hill is playing a good football game tonight. However, on that play, this is one that he's going to be dreaming about all night because he had him dead to rights. As a defensive end, you're told when the ball goes away from you, you only go as deep as the football. He played that part of it right. He's got to wrap up the running back, or the receiver in this case.
Well, he was a receiver who was a running back. As it turns out, Tim Edgerton with a gain to the 43-yard line. First down Lions, under 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. BC with a 1-point lead. And the Eskimos are starting to take some licks when they can against the Lions. Dan Bass in on that tackle of Chris Skinner, who gets up slowly, or does he? He's staying down.
Chris Skinner's played a good football game tonight. You've seen on numerous occasions where he's been getting hit at the line of scrimmage, and his great leg strength has enabled him to carry some guys and pick up 4 or 5 extra yards. In this case, you could hear that collision up to here. He really got popped.
Well, Bob Obilovich and really everybody connected with the BC Lions have been careful to say that this season is not over. It's not a write-off. They're last in the West, but they're 5 points back of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That would be 3 if the Lions could win tonight. And I think they have their eyes on the Calgary Stampeders too, and why not with Calgary's quarterback problems. And BC has 2 games remaining against the Stamps.
Well, there's nothing that says that they can't start whittling that 5-point difference tonight.
Chris Skinner continues to get his treatment as we look back on a CFL star.
CFL Priority Courier Player of the Week. The defensive player for week number 9 is Saskatchewan's Richie Hall. This 5'6", 160-pound defensive back's heart, desire, and talent make him a giant in the Rough Rider defense. Before a record crowd at Taylor Field, Hall's 3 interceptions for 27 yards and 3 timely tackles put the lid on the Winnipeg offense during Saskatchewan's impressive 55-11 victory. Richie Hall, CFL Priority Courier Defensive Player of the Week.
Second down, Lions just inside their 45-yard line. Here comes an Edmonton blitz. Flutie throws. Willis has it knocked away by Andre Francis. A nice play by the Edmonton cornerback. A good play by Flutie to get rid of that ball in the right place for the Edmonton Eskimos blitzing.
Well, he was also a little bit lucky there because Andre Francis breaks on the ball extremely well. He came up. That might have been 6 points going the other way. It's just that he couldn't squeeze it.
So Pasaglia punts, and Gizmo Williams is back again. He has punt returns in each of his last 2 games, the 2 wins over Calgary. And a long return with a missed field goal against the Argos. So he's 3 return touchdowns in the last 3 games. Pasaglia gets it away and does it nicely considering the snap. Colbert, well, looks as though they might have wanted to reverse that, and Colbert goes nowhere. With the score, Lions 13, Eskimos 12. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations from coast to coast to identify themselves. You're watching Molson Canadian Football Network. The Eskimos average 40 points a game this season. Total score in this game, 25 points by both teams. Hand draw to Marshall, and that works. Blake Marshall, who hasn't run with it much tonight, is close to a first down. Looks as though he has it past the 40-yard line.
Sometimes when you blitz, good things happen for you defensively. Sometimes if you blitz, bad things happen. In this particular case, Tank Landry walks out of the middle, stands on the end of the line, comes on the blitz. Unfortunately for him, they had the draw call and came right up where the area where he vacated.
And swings it. Walling with no blockers gets what he can to the 45.
Well, apparently he's, according to the coaches that have coached him, he's one of the toughest guys they've seen. That you don't know how badly he's hurt out there right now, but he's not going to pack it in. He loves to play football, hurt or not. He can worry about being hurt after the game.
Won't pack it in tonight, but there are reports that he doesn't want to play for Bobo Bilovic. And that'll have to await a meeting between the two, I guess. Ham with his head down, and he fights for that first down. He was a fullback that time to get the necessary yardage. And is he all right?
We're talking about Tank Landry. He really calls all the plays from the sidelines. They get signaled in. He calls the plays. He tells the fellas where to go. The thing is, he looks like he's hurting because that's not a Tank Landry tackle. You see him try to kind of bulldog him to the ground rather than stepping up and really popping him. He's playing on one leg right now from all appearances.
First down, Eskimos. Ham has to throw it up. Sinkar, and he is prevented from catching the ball by Ken Watson, and the Eskimos can't believe there wasn't a flag thrown on the play.
Well, Watson did get that hand up a little bit just to push off Sinkar, or at least keep him away from the ball. He would make the argument that once that ball is up, I can also try and get it. I'm a receiver too.
I think it was good that Watson turned when he did. He had his back to the ball right to the end.
Oh, most definitely that would have been interference otherwise.
Liberal interpretations of the pass interference rules have been seen at times this season, and there was some bumping there even before the ball got there, but no flag.
The Lions haven't been shy about getting after Tracy Ham. Landry, we said, has been playing really on one leg and kind of clutching that leg once he rolls over, and he's hurting.
Landry out, shows Blake Marshall. Second down. Ham over the middle. What a catch. Nice pass. Colbert on the end of it. And it's a first down, Edmonton.
I think right now with the Lions is that when they bring the 4-man rush, they're not having as much success as forcing Ham to throw the ball before he's ready. Again, if Tracy's got a lot of time just to sit in there, let the play develop, and you see what happens.
Gained of the 36-yard line, a 22-yard pass from Tracy Ham to Darrell Colbert. As the wide receivers do play a part for Edmonton in this second half. Wright and Colbert virtually shut out in the first half. Johnstone in for Marshall, and he gains a couple.
Last week, Dave, that Edmonton ran 22 plays inside the Calgary 35-yard line, and they scored 27 points. Now, there's teams in the league that struggle once they get in what they coaches like to call the scoring zone, and I don't think that's been Edmonton's problem. It seems that every time they get to this position in the field, they're going to put something on the board.
This will be the last play of the third quarter. It's 2nd down and 7. And lots of time. Away he goes, looking for 7 yards. Out at the 25, he has got a first down, I believe. A flag comes down right on the sidelines, and he was out of my view. They hit him late.
Well, I didn't think it was worth a penalty, but obviously the referees are different. More than anything, I don't think Alondra Johnson's trying to hurt him. All he's trying to let him know is that, listen, I'm here.
First down.
Well, there was no difference between that and a hit that Doug Flutie took earlier. One no call, and a flag came down that time. And the fans are still a little upset, well, more than a little perhaps, about the quick whistle that deadened the ball that was fumbled by Tracy Ham earlier in this quarter. This penalty, a very important one. I think they had the first down anyway, but it gets the Eskimos closer. Here they go, up and incomplete, and that's just not working for Edmonton. They keep wanting to test the 2 corners, and Jefferson makes another big play. So the Lions take a 1-point lead to quarter number 4. Reggie Taylor missed the Eskimos' last game, and it looks as though he missed the rest of this one, as he has a bandage and some ice on the right knee. The Eskimos enter the fourth quarter down by a point. That could change pretty quickly here in this or the next play. 2nd down. Ham fumbled the ball. And the Eskimos keep it, lose yardage, and will have to try for 3 points.
We said at the start of the game, David, the longer that the BC Lions can hang in here and play tough, the better their chances of winning. I think this guy's responsible for a large part of that. And the Edmonton Eskimos really haven't looked as machine-like as they have the last portion of the season. A lot of miscues, and especially in areas where they're going in to score, and that for them is very unusual.
Blake Marshall made a recovery that could turn into 3 points if Ray McAreedy makes this field goal, and it would put the Eskimos back in front if he does that. Field goal is good. Edmonton ahead by 2, and we keep remembering that that 2-point spread is as a result of the safety at the end of the first half. CFN goes on the road. A busy weekend. Calgary tomorrow for the Stampeders against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And in watching Calgary lose twice to Edmonton, Nick, I kept saying that the next game the Stampeders played might well be the most important of the season. One way to forget about what goes on when they play Edmonton is to beat the next team they play, and that is Winnipeg. Stampeders will have to do it with Rick Warman at quarterback. Tom Burgess is going to start for Winnipeg. Tom Forrest back in Calgary because of the injuries to Danny Barrett and Terrence Jones, and Albert Williams and Jerome Reinhart are going to start in that Winnipeg defense that seems out of sync since James West got hurt.
Well, he definitely is a spiritual leader on that defense, and they miss him. But every team has injuries, and every team, you're only as good as the guys that are on the field. You can't talk about the players that aren't playing for you, and they've really got to get an effort from the players on the field.
McAreedy's kickoff, Tim Edgerton. Pretty good return out to the 47. Fans trying to help the Lions wherever possible if they can influence the officials, and they are watchful of everything that includes the men in the striped shirts now.
Well, sure, I guess they feel that if Alondra Johnson should get a penalty on Tracy Ham, then there should have been one there.
An Eskimo is down on the play. Andrew McConnell, it looks like. The Lions will have some extra time to ponder this first down play, their initial offensive series of the fourth quarter.
Pace of this season, normally, David, at this point, at this juncture in the season, you're past the halfway point, really starts to catch up to teams, I think, where a lot of teams experiencing injuries. And I honestly feel that in football, there's 100% of injuries. I mean, I feel that every guy that plays the game, with maybe the possible exception of your kickers, has some kind of an injury. It's almost unavoidable. And at this point, it's very important for guys, even though they're hurt, to get back in there. And you guys got to play hurt. You don't want them to play injured, but players have to play hurt. You don't have the luxury of sitting a lot of your key players down.
I was saying earlier that the Eskimos were as healthy, and so was Joe Faragalli saying it, as healthy as they've been all season. And a few problems have occurred in this game. Reggie Taylor will not finish it as we continue to look at the quarterback numbers. Well, Hugh Campbell has seen these situations as much as Joe Faragalli has, perhaps. One team so heavily favored that the other team gets a lift from that. And the longer this game goes, the better the Lions feel about what they're doing, and the worse the Eskimos feel.
Well, their confidence level improves, that they feel that they can play with one of the best, if not the best, team in the league right now.
Lions at their 47-yard line. Flutie, some play action, gives them lots of time, and the ball is dropped, juggled. A pretty good return to the ball by Keith Gooch to force that incompletion on Ray Alexander.
Gooch and Andre Francis on the other side are excellent man-on-man cover guys that no matter where that receiver goes, they're almost like they're in their hip pocket, and they're changing up a lot of these coverages on Doug Flutie. One time they're running into a zone, and Edmonton likes to play a lot of zone. In that particular instance, they went man-to-man just to keep him guessing.
Alexander caught a touchdown pass in the first quarter and otherwise hasn't been a threat for the Lions. This time Larry Willis comes back, and does he hold it for the completion? No. Never had possession. Willis will argue that, and he'll have 25,000 or so allies in that debate. But the ruling was he never had possession of the ball.
Well, Larry Willis, we've seen over the years him make a living on defensive backs and linebackers with this type of thing, and I don't think he had possession of the ball. He's got to convince them that and hang on to that for a good second or more, and he didn't convince anybody, I don't think.
Well, there's two good passes by Flutie, two balls that weren't caught, and two good plays by the Edmonton defenders. Maybe a touch of criticism of the BC receivers for not making sure of those catches, but they're up against good cornerbacks. Lisa Saglia punts it out of bounds, and there's a couple of Eskimos on top of a line. Back, no flag. Molson and Canadian Football Network are proud to bring you the best of the CFL. The commissioner watches from BC Lions owner Murray Pesham's side. League meetings here, Grey Cup promotion. And Don Crump could get close to another sports circus that he's had experience with in the past. Craig Ellis, the big play man for the Eskimos. Past midfield, a big play for Edmonton. I think it's important now that the Lions do something defensively, certainly prevent a touchdown. If the Eskimos get ahead by 9, it could be tough for BC.
Well, you see Craig Ellis, when he stands there, he's trying to give the impression he's just going to stay in and block one of the blitzing halfbacks or linebackers. He sneaks across the middle, hope they just ignore him. You can't ignore this guy because he's hamstrung the receiver.
Ham can't find any receiver this time. Down he goes. And there's a pretty good example of what Tracy Ham does sometimes. Takes for granted the fact that he can do anything he wants to do. He didn't have the kind of time that he thought he had.
No, he didn't. And Marlon Brown, one reason they've got him out there, he's a tall guy at 230 pounds. He's not overly big, so he's capable of getting out there, using that long reach and bringing him down. And your bigger guys, usually on your defensive line, you put them in the middle where they can push back those offensive linemen, get in the quarterback's face. The speed guys you want on the outside to chase those quarterbacks.
That's one big defensive play for the Lions. They need another one here. Ham has it picked off. Willie Pless. The Eskimos have now committed more turnovers than the Lions. BC has the ball at the 50.
coming into this game, the Lions had the fewest interceptions in the CFL with 13. Andrew McConnell's got a pulled hamstring. You won't see him back. But the other part of that was that they also had the fewest sacks in the CFL with 18. One is dependent upon the other. They get pressure on Ham, force him to run around in there. He does not see the fact that Willie Pless has got Ellis bracketed. He just reads Ham throwing across his body, makes a play.
First down for the 50. Flutie deep downfield for Alexander, and he reaches up over the smaller Andre Francis and almost makes the catch because of that.
Got tremendous range. He and Doug Landry complement each other so well, their styles. And that's surprising right there. That's something you'd never expect.
Best in the league against the worst, but it doesn't mean anything on this night.
What's up, everybody? How you doing now?
Willie Pless would like to think that's the most important of the turnovers. The Lions have to do something with it. 2nd and 10. Here come the Eskimos, and Flutie has nowhere to go. The ball is loose. Can Stuart Hill pick this up and run with it? Can he pick it up at all? There's a flag. Maybe interference on the Lions for preventing Hill from picking that football up. Maybe disaster for the Lions. We still don't know who has it. But if ever a blitz works, that's it. I think Edmonton may have possession of this ball. The interference, you see that. But first of all, we have to know who picked up the football. Maybe there was more than one penalty. Kennard Martin isn't happy. One example of the Lions' reaction, and Andre Francis is signaling Edmonton ball.
Illegal interference on a loose ball. BC number 55. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Edmonton 44 after the play. Edmonton first down.
Okay, there were 2 penalties. Hill was going for the ball, so that's why the Eskimos are awarded the ball, because he was interfered with, and then Jeff Braswell roughed, so the Eskimos don't get the field position they'd have had otherwise.
Well, Doug Flutie probably did the right thing. There just wasn't enough people back there to block all the guys coming. If you can't find his receiver, somebody's got to be open. If he can't find the receiver, then tuck that ball away and go down.
Now is Sinclair after Hill of the football? Well, he wrapped one arm around him, but it can be argued that Ian Sinclair was doing the same thing Stuart Hill was doing, and that is trying to get a loose ball. Anyway, the Eskimos have it now. Colbert reaches up and makes the catch.
I think it's really important now for the BC defenders to really play tough on those receivers of the Eskimos. They've been guilty earlier in this season of playing a little bit too soft, and maybe that's because they weren't really confident in the pass rush of the BC Lions. The Lions have had a pretty good rush tonight, I thought, against an elusive guy.
Blake Dermott is the injured Eskimo. We should point out, as this game gets to its final 10 minutes, that the Eskimos are unbeaten at home, but lo and behold have a losing record away from home, where they are tonight. The Eskimos 2-3 on the road, 5-0 at Commonwealth Stadium. Well, we haven't had too much scoring, so we'll take this chance to tell you what scoring we have had. Ray McAreedy with a field goal after the Eskimos recovered a fumble, and the Lions took the lead on Chris Skinner's pass to Ray Alexander. That was it for the first quarter. Craig Ellis from Tracy Ham. Eskimos back in front, and they led 12-7 at the half because of a last-minute safety. Chris Skinner out of bounds in the end zone, forced there by Keith Gooch and Dan Bass. In the third quarter, the Lions did the scoring. 2 Louis Pasaglia field goals to take a 1-point lead to this fourth quarter, and we've had a Ray McAreedy field goal as alone scoring in the fourth period to give Edmonton the lead again by 2 points.
Well, with Andrew McConnell out and Blake Dermott going down, they only have Todd Storm as their backup offensive lineman, and being a tackle, they got no backup now.
10:25 to go. The Eskimos clinging, and I mean clinging, to a 2-point lead. Blake Dermott off, and as you were saying, Nick, it is Todd Storm who has come in to play along the offensive line for Edmonton.
Well, they've got an extra jersey number out there, 68. You might see one of those defensive linemen lining up if somebody else gets hurt.
Ham a fake and a roll. A lot of room. He fakes once to hold Willie Pless and then runs by him and out of bounds near the 20-yard line, and that's Tracy Ham at his best.
Well, certainly is. And we talked earlier about running smart, not taking unnecessary punishment. There's a perfect example right there. This time, all game, they've been trying to break contain. This time, he just tucks that ball on the hip, a la Matt Dunnigan. Tank Landry trying to chase him. You can't really quite keep up, and runs out of bounds, gets what they need. It's very effective.
Eskimos at the 20-yard line. Ellis, 10-yard line, 5-yard line. Ellis, touchdown. No doubt about the star of the game offensively for Edmonton. Craig Ellis with another touchdown catch. Tracy Ham, another touchdown throw.
Well, when you need it, you probably always go to the guy that you can depend on the most. And as we've said, a quarterback and his favorite receiver very often develop a rapport, and you see that right here. Just excellent blocking downfield so that he has an opportunity to score. You got to mention the offensive line that time, too. A little bit maligned this year. They've given up some sacks. Just lots of time for Tracy Ham to look over the situation and pick his receiver.
McEready for another point and a 9-point lead for the Eskimos with 9:46 to go.
Coming at you, Darryl. Stymie. Pick off, pick off.
Craig Ellis is the CFL's touchdown leader with that catch, his 11th TD pass of the season. He goes ahead of Darrell Smith of the Argos by 1. Smith, of course, a full game ahead in Hamilton this weekend. Try to do something about that. Tim Edgerton tripped up as he crosses the 40-yard line.
Happy birthday, Brittany. Daddy loves you. Hey there, Linda. Easy check.
That's an interesting story about this guy here, how he's really had a resurgence or a second life back in the CFL. It does an excellent job of bumping up with Trudell, making him, pushing off of him, getting separation one way or the other. One way to do it is to make a good move. The other way is just to use some of your physical size to gain separation in that regard.
There's a big night for any receiver. Craig Ellis almost at 150 yards for those 2 touchdowns. Flutie has one dropped by Dennis, a bit of a late hit from Larry Ruck. I think no matter what happens, Jim Young is going to have to admit he enjoyed this night, maybe the day leading up to it, and he knows nobody really is ever going to remember this game. If he loses it, he'd never forget it if he won it, I know. But I think he conducted himself very well in all of the strange circumstances that went on and involved him. Willis, a nice pass from Flutie.
Doug Flutie is still bombing away. He's not giving up on the fact that they have dropped some passes on him tonight. At times he looks a little bit unsure of himself, but when the receiver runs a proper route for him, gets open, and Flutie sees that, he looks as good as anybody at throwing the ball.
23-yard gain from Doug Flutie to Larry Willis to the 47-yard line of the Eskimos. Jamie Terrace was the victim of a blitz. More Eskimos there than normal, and he couldn't do anything about it.
When they study the films during the week, they're going to key any particular type of motion or formation. When they blitzed up in the middle there was probably a good chance that they knew that type of running play is coming at them, and they stuffed it really well. Next year, they just got to be careful that the back doesn't take it outside where there's nobody.
Second down from the shotgun. Here come the Eskimos. Flutie away from one man. Toaster Williams chases him. The pass is thrown incomplete. Fans want to know about interference. Enos Jackson walloped Tim Edgerton, and the ball had not got there yet. No flag, and I guess they'll call it uncatchable on Edgerton's part. But he was certainly hit before the ball had reached him.
Well, that's exactly it, I think, David. It's just that they feel that ball wasn't catchable. And Mark Mathis comes on the blitz, and Flutie shows his athletic ability, just being able to avoid that get outside the contain. Now, you know, they had the right idea there. He just didn't get the job done in terms of the pass and the reception.
Well, it certainly was uncatchable once he was hit. Let's declare that our verdict. Bagley lost it up for Colbert. No yards to be called, and that won't help the Lions. Well, I wonder if we're going to see Major Harris tonight. That was one of the reasons for some interest in this game on the Lions' part, apart from everything else that was going on.
2 yards, BC number 44, first down.
But while they still have a shot at this one, I think there's no doubt Flutie should stay in there.
Oh, most definitely. I don't think it would serve any purpose to put Harris in here. The only reason you put him, I guess, if Flutie was really struggling, but he's had some plays that I'm sure he wishes he had back, but then by and large he hasn't done a bad job.
The Eskimos will have to get along as we see a flag down and a handoff to Michael Stoles. They'll have to get along without left tackle Blake Dermott for the rest of the evening. Penalties offside against BC.
Offside, BC number 50, first down repeated.
Eskimos will be happy to work on the clock now. There's 7:07 to go. They're ahead by more than a touchdown. They'll try to take some time off the clock and move the ball, of course. So now you see some running play. They're not waiting long to blow the whistles when anybody with the ball is in anybody else's possession.
Coach Farragalli looks a little more relaxed, or actually maybe you can't tell. He tries to keep the same face throughout the whole game. You can't really tell just by looking at him whether he's ahead or behind. But to this point, the Lions have acquitted themselves well. They certainly haven't given up. Now it's really important to see that they play hard right through to the end of this game.
2nd and 4. Let's see if the Eskimos try to pick it up on the ground. They can still do that if Ham runs. He may have to run. He may not be able to run.
Talked about Willie Pless earlier, that he may not be the biggest linebacker in the league, but he has just tremendous tenacity and quickness. Now, this isn't necessarily just speed, but quickness, the ability to close at 5 to 10 yards to get to the quarterback and really harass him to the point where he can't stop, set up, and find a receiver down the field. And this temperature, humidity inside this dome, I think is starting to take its toll.
I think sometimes Tracy Ham really does suffer from overconfidence. Some things he does are done so easily that in other situations he tends to think he can do whatever he wants regardless of the situation or what the opposition might do, and that's the last thing he wanted to do on that play, was take a big loss, and really was fortunate that he held on to the ball the way he was hit and the way he was carrying it. Don Sutherland, one of those Joe Farragalli assistants, was considered last weekend for the BC job. So as a result of the big loss, McAreedy is inside his 5-yard line awaiting this snap. Lions should have it in Edmonton territory if Stevens can pick it up and run with it. And he will get into Eskimo territory at the 51-yard line. Where's the ball? It went over to the Eskimos. Edmonton winds up with it. Had the whistle blown earlier or not? Eskimos say they have it. The officials aren't saying anything. I didn't hear a whistle until after the play had gone the other way in Edmonton's possession. This should be all the BC fans needed, but I think it might be the right call. Let's have a look.
Well, you're talking about quick whistles tonight, David, and obviously for the BC Lions that wasn't quick enough. And I think that's the thing right there, is that he had the ball stripped out of his arms, and there was no whistle, so Edmonton ball.
Well, for all the quick whistles we've seen, that was ridiculously late. Ham will run. And Alondra Johnson will get him after a short game. 5:15 to go as the Lions need more time than they've got, it would appear. Not many assistants for Jim Young or for Bob Bilovich, really. Maybe he has to hire another one, and the Lions have been short in this department all season, with the coaching staff somewhat in a state of flux. The withdrawal of Charlie West earlier in the season, and then Larry Dautrieve. Two of the starting assistants aren't around anymore. Jim Young has been an assistant coach and now isn't anymore. Ham completes the pass, stops the clock, but a first down is made by the Eskimos' Marco Sinkar at the 35, the first catch for Sinkar.
Sinkar's been around 11 years, so he knows what he's supposed to do as a slot. Once again, they're most effective getting Tracy Ham outside of the contain. Now, Sinkar knows his quarterback's going that way, so as long as your quarterback's running to the sidelines, you move with him, makes the throw easier.
Clock keeps moving at the 35-yard line with a flag down. Ryan Walling in for Reggie Taylor, and the Eskimos don't necessarily suffer along the ground when that happens. Walling 98 yards against Calgary a week ago.
Offside, BC number 50, first down repeated.
Well, you saw the effect that him getting chopped to play earlier had on Marlon Brown. As soon as he saw that running back coming up to the line of scrimmage, he was ready to go. He's concerned about them coming, taking his legs out, allowing Ham to escape outside of him and buying extra time breaking contain.
Ball will be snapped, and the clock will be under 4 minutes remaining, and we might have another offside penalty as Michael Scholes carries it near the 25 and a first down.
The young defensive line of the Lions is starting to get a little bit antsy, and that, again, shows how effective the Eskimos have been in bringing up those running backs, bringing them up to the line of scrimmage, and trying to get Ham to roll out in that direction.
The two offside penalties in a row makes the first down. That's pretty simple. Eskimos using up the time, churning up the yardage. Walling is 5, 6, maybe 7 into the 18-yard line.
See, these things, they're all done with a purpose in mind. Now, you start to roll Tracy Ham out again. The defense starts to run laterally, sideways. So then what do you do? Instead of him keeping the ball, he just hands it off to his back, who cuts it up in the area or the space vacated by the defenders who are more interested in getting after Tracy Ham.
Second down, Ham will risk a pass. So guess who? Craig Ellis. He's going to score again.
I guess at this point you'd figure that who else are they going to go to when he needs a big gain or he needs a touchdown? Who else is he going to go to? And Tracy Ham has just got so much confidence in the fact that not only does Ellis know where to run, but every time he throws him the ball, this guy catches it for him. And they've got that rapport going that we spoke of earlier, and that's what makes Craig Ellis and Tracy Ham such a dynamic duo, I guess.
They're league leaders. Ham in touchdown passes, Ellis in touchdown receptions. 3:02 to go, and it looks as though the Eskimos have salted this one away. Well, the Lions will need some kind of miracle now. How about 2 8-point touchdowns in overtime, Nick? While you ponder that, the Lions will return this one with Edgerton taken down before he hits the 35-yard line. Good night's work.
Craig Ellis, once again, such a smart veteran, knows that Remy Trudel has no inside help because Willie Pless has to run out and cover the back. So he works inside of him. The ball is perfectly thrown, and you could say that Tracy Ham has not had a typical Tracy Ham night, but he's thrown for almost 300 yards. And I guess Tracy Ham, again, doesn't matter. We won the game. I'm going to have nights like that as long as we can put it together when it counts. 50%.
Flutie firing to Willis. Eskimos a little softer on defense now. The Lions are going to have to go for passes of that length and longer. Alexander's been quiet since the first quarter touchdown. He pulls this one in. Only his second catch of the game.
Doug Flutie really seems to be most effective when he's moving around back there. You saw that time he was able to get up inside of Stu Hill, who's being double teamed. And when he's got that little bit of extra time and those receivers can move to the open spot for him, he does well.
Downfield, Alexander with Francis covering him, and it's Andre Francis who brings the ball in. Alexander reaches for the tackle. Nobody's got it yet. Francis still on his feet down at the 30-yard line. One more turnover. The turnovers that hurt the Lions were the early ones that cost them points.
And you talk about missed opportunities also, David, some of those drop passes. You okay? Andre Francis, as I'd mentioned earlier, I think is really one of the premier man-on-man cover guys in the league, and he had this cased out right from the word go, and he knew what they're going to try and do. And it was kind of interesting watching him before the game, where all these players come in on the dome in shorts and cut-off T-shirts to warm up. He was out there with 3 or 4 towels around his neck and sweatpants and a jacket and a hat.
Eskimos have made a quarterback change. Steve Taylor will mop this one up. He'll throw it deep downfield, double coverage, and Billy Bell's going to have an interception of Steve Taylor. He's down at the 54-yard line. I'm not sure I would question the insertion of Taylor, but I don't know why you'd be fooling around with plays like that.
Well, I think when you're a young quarterback, you want to show the coach, look, I can go in there and I can really throw this ball. And more than anything, that was the idea. He got excellent protection. He had all the time in the world. It's just that he didn't put enough on that ball and threw it to an area really where he shouldn't have, into double coverage.
Eskimos have called a timeout. And I'm not sure why. They have enough players on the field. Jim Yock is going on, and indeed, that is why the Eskimos had to stop the clock, because they had only 11 men on the field. Flutie looks downfield, throws a short one that's dropped. Kennard Martin was the intended receiver as he limps back to the huddle. Let's look back on our scorecard of key indicators and find out how the Lions have done. Well, they have more sacks than the Eskimos. That's a surprise. The Lions have turned the ball over once more, which hasn't helped them. Penalties, pretty close. Big plays, close. First quarter. Maybe that's why the Lions were able to keep the game as close as long as they did. And that does show what kind of a sloppy game it has been on Edmonton's part, because normally they would have all of those categories locked up against the BC Lions. I'll tell you, the Lions lead in drop passes. There's not much doubt of that.
Well, Flutie does throw the ball low, and a lot of that is his previous training, is that you've got to make that throw accurate. If your man can't get it, throw it to where no one else can get it. And he's got a little bit more room with a bigger field up here. He's got a little bit more room to work with, and he doesn't have to worry so much, I don't think, about that.
Remember when his pass completion percentage was better than Tracy Ham's tonight? It is now gone the other way with Ham at 50% and finished for the evening, I guess. And Flutie dropping well below the 50% mark. Well, Doug Flutie might have one last gasp in him. Down the sidelines, very nearly picked off by Jim Yock. Jeff Braswell is there to tell the official just what went on. The ball goes over on downs. That's another turnover for the record.
Well, I think the other big thing, David, as you mentioned earlier in the game, how no BC quarterback had started and finished a game this season. Now, I think in terms of continuity, that's something that you should try and strive for. Get one guy in there, get him to play a whole game, to feel the ebb and the flow of how the game is going. I think that's going to make the Lions better in the future.
The injured Eskimos, Reggie Taylor, Blake Dermott leaving. Keith Wright just hitched a ride as well, and he missed the last game, so maybe he's not entirely healthy at the end of this one. Well, Steve Taylor is still in there and still throwing. Gizmo Williams, a nice catch by Henry Williams at the 36-yard line.
Steve Taylor shows some pretty good arm there right now, and why they're high on this young fella, his capabilities, the reading of the defenses and all those types of things will come with experience and getting out there and doing it. But if you can bring the physical tools, the ability to move around and throw the ball, that's what gets coaches excited.
Taylor from the University of Nebraska, a little out of the reach of his intended receiver, Craig Ellis. This game may be, in a strange way, another indication of how strong Edmonton is. What have the Eskimos done well tonight? Really not very much, except Tracy Ham throw the ball to Craig Ellis, but that's enough to have them win, as it turns out, easily by 16 points.
Good. Andre Francis has a hyperextended left knee, and that could be serious. I'll have to examine that tomorrow.
Well, the Eskimos, the worst part of this game for Edmonton, apart from the way they played in some areas, the injuries they picked up. Steve Taylor can scramble down at the 30-yard line.
Good football teams, though, as they say, can win ugly. In other words, there is a way that if things aren't going right, they find some way to pull it out of the hat. And that's exactly what we've seen from the Eskimos tonight. And that is a mark of a veteran football club, I think. They'll be happy to get out of here with their 2 points.
Craig Ellis fond of saying, if you win, it doesn't really matter how. And he'll be saying that again tonight, although deep down, I think he knows that the Eskimos can't play like this too often. In trouble on the snap. McAreedy may have 3 points anyway. Yes, he does. And it's 32-13. And it has all happened for Edmonton in this fourth quarter. They were trailing after 3. Give the Eskimos their 2 points and put them 2 more points ahead of Calgary. The Stampeders playing tomorrow on CFN at home to Winnipeg. Saskatchewan plays on Sunday again on the Canadian Football Network at home to Ottawa. But for now, Edmonton's lead is 5 over the Stampeders and 6 over Saskatchewan. And there are those 2 games on CFN the remainder of the weekend from Calgary and Saskatchewan. Bob Irving will call those ones for you. Neil Lumsden waits with him in Calgary as the Stampeders and the Bombers will do battle. We're going to see Major Harris after all. And no surprise that his first play is a run, or an attempted run. And he beats, maybe 6 or 7 tacklers to gain a few yards.
Well, he may not be as quick as Doug Flutie, for example, when he decides to run. Being a tall guy at 6'2" with long legs, it takes him a little longer to get started. But you can see that the guy is pretty strong. He's got excellent size. He can carry people.
Well, he shows the arm, and Jake Christensen has the catch to the 45-yard line. So Major Harris is 1 for 1 as a CFL quarterback. And it brings a first down.
Well, what they've done with him is they've really simplified the playbook. They've taken out some of the plays that they've been running. In other words, he's new in there. He really hasn't played at all. Let's give him a few basic things, hope that he does those well. If he doesn't get his initial read right away, pull the ball down and run. He's been given the green light by Jim Young.
And the green light's on. Well, Harris will try to pass it. Low, trapped or caught. Trapped. Well, I'm sure he's happy to get a chance to play, even though it's in the last couple minutes of a game that is lost. He's waited a while to take a snap in a game, and a lot of people have wanted to see what he could do. There'll be a better chance than this one to assess the talents of Major Harris. He'll operate from the shotgun with 24 seconds to go. Another low one as a flag goes down with 17 seconds remaining. Tracy Ham might think back to his rookie year as he watches Major Harris.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton 45, first down.
Well, Tracy Ham wins the night in the head-to-head battle with quarterbacks, but it wasn't that way all night long. A big fourth quarter, and a man named Craig Ellis had helped Tracy Ham do that. Harris throws it up, jostling in the end zone. No flag with 10 seconds left. Well, he can run and he can throw, and I guess we should have expected that he could do both of those things.
Well, he's not going to get a lot of action here, but it sure gets boring. You're spending a whole half season in practice just running the other team's plays, and I'm sure he appreciates any opportunity to get out there and look at things under fire, because believe me, in a game, things happen a lot quicker than they do in practice.
Again to the end zone. Almost. Christensen had it for the moment, but couldn't hold it long enough or come down with it. And on that note, the game is over. Jim Young's first and last one as the head coach of the BC Lions. He gave it a good fight. His players did too. But Joe Farragalli's Eskimos win in the fourth quarter. It's 32-13 at the end.
Hi, I'm Marshall Toner of the Calgary Stampeders. Join me and the rest of the Stamps on September 14th when we host the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here on CFN.
It was tough for a while for the Edmonton Eskimos, but they pull away to win it handily in the fourth quarter. 32-13, Edmonton over the BC Lions, as the Eskimos are on a winning streak now, and there's not much doubt about the MVP of this game. Craig Ellis caught 3 touchdown passes from Tracy Ham, and caught others too, as a big night catching and scoring for our MVP, Craig Ellis, the league leader in touchdowns now with 12, all through the air, of course. The league record is 18 in one season. You have your eye on that?
Well, not really. I tell you, for our offense, we sputter a lot today. We haven't really played this, the whole year, full 60 minutes of football, and it's going to be interesting to see later parts of the year as we gel together a little bit better and see how well our offense can play for 60 minutes.
Craig, explain to me why on a night when the Eskimos offense did sputter and really nothing else was working for Tracy Ham, why you managed to be so successful.
Well, I tell you one thing. Me and Tracy on the offseason have been working very close, and over the years we developed this relationship. So when things are not going right for Tracy, he has a tendency of looking for me. But I think I want to really compliment on Tracy for getting me involved in the offense. He started using me a little bit more the second half, and I just been patient. And when you be patient, I guess good things happen for you.
Was this a tough game to prepare for, given what went on in Vancouver in the preceding days?
Well, you hear all the media how they're without a coach, and the guy that's acting as a head coach right now is going to be a marketing guy. He doesn't care what happens tonight, but it's kind of scary because this team has a lot of qualified ball players and on offense as well as defense, a lot of name brand ball players, and you got to keep your head in the game because they can beat you at any time.
How will the Eskimos digest this win then? Will you be happy because it's 2 points and it's 32 that you scored, or did you want to play better and will you be disappointed because of that?
Well, Dave, I'll be kidding you if I say we wouldn't be happy, because this is 2 points and they are a Western place team, and we need the points to just get home field advantage for the Western final. But it won't be good in films on tomorrow, because I know I've made a lot of mistakes in the game, and I'm sure other guys made it won't be a nice film to watch.
No, nor will it be nice to look at the injured players. Reggie Taylor, Blake Dermott went out. Keith Wright didn't finish the game, and you were as healthy as you've been all season coming into it. So I guess you pay that price too.
But I tell you, with the Edmonton organization, we have a lot of guys, key guys, sitting in the back. When Reggie didn't play last week, Brian Wallen stepped in and rushed for almost 100 yards. And Keith Wright, we got a qualified receiver, and Todd Smith sitting around. One thing about Eskimo organization, they always keep guys on a practice roster in the wings. So when we do miss a guy, we don't really miss a beat when next game we play.
Hey, you're the best proof of all. When the Eskimos need a player, they can find one, even with a flag sticking out of his side. So keep it going, and great game tonight.
I tell you, Dave, I always want to wish a happy birthday to my daughter, Brittany. Daddy loves you, and happy to your birthday.
Okay, you score touchdowns, you do that, and you can do that when you're the MVP as well. Craig Ellis, the big star, maybe the only real star the Eskimos had on this night, but he was enough as they win 32-13 after trailing by a point going into the fourth quarter. The Canadian Football Network barely cools off before it heats up again tomorrow night in Calgary. The Bombers against the Stampeders. For all of us in Vancouver, thanks for watching the Eskimos' victory over the BC Lions.